I'm leaving that in.
No!
Hello and welcome to the Patron Q&A for the Denny's video I did. I forgot which one it was for a second.
I was like, is it the Lucky Star one?
I know.
Because we left that one in limbo for like months.
It's been a long day.
It sure has.
Alyssa and I got back from seeing the Mario movie.
We did. It was good.
Yeah. I don't really feel much need to weigh in, but...
I liked it.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I have to say.
Yeah. Nothing more to say. We're here to answer your questions.
That we are. First question today comes to us from Kazuma Kiryu himself. He says, what are your thoughts on the Yakuza series? Well, Kiryu, that's a little bit, self-aggrandizing of you to ask.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I played like a few hours of Zero when it came out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna need to invest a lot of time into this, aren't I? And then I stopped playing it.
Yeah, I've only seen a little bit of Yakuza. I've enjoyed the vibes of what I have seen, but I just, I'm in that mindset of, I need to be in the right place to, jump into a long-time investment, to get into this, so I haven't made that leap yet. John Willen says, you do a great job discovering and researching lost media. What do you think of companies pulling down their own animation to avoid paying royalties? Will there be more lost media going forward?
Outside of the stuff that got axed before it got released, which I think will probably find its way online eventually, it might just take some time. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to create more lost media because I don't think anything that is getting pulled wasn't already available to torrent.
Yeah.
Web rips are a really popular form of torrent for this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think, some stuff might have fallen through the cracks if such an outrage hadn't been made about it, but I think things are pretty safe now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these days the idea of something getting totally lost is kind of hard to think about because people are so quick to preserve stuff. Yeah,
it's usually just stuff that never gets to come out to begin with.
Yeah. Hazel and I, when I am less swamped with other stuff, I've said this 20 times, but I'm working on a video with Hazel about a certain piece of lost media. And what I will say is it is lost enough that when I looked it up in Japanese, which is its country of origin, people were tweeting, even in Japanese, about being unable to find it, about it being unavailable everywhere. So I'm really stoked to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's all I can say.
Yeah. All of that being said, I'm also really not an expert on lost media. It's something that when a subject is interesting to me, I'll try to tackle it, but I'm certainly not somebody who's I haven't successfully found any lost media except by happenstance, so I'm no expert.
Sorry, I just came close to choking on my own spit. That's why I made a weird sound. Anyway, Ivan M says, I was really curious about your thoughts on Sawao Yamanaka's recent album, Muddy Comedy, and also your thoughts on his solo work.
I listened to it for the first time last night. Yeah, I tweeted about it. This is totally unrelated to the question. I tweeted about it, but as I've been working on a particular video script, I decided to listen through the entirety of the Pillows back catalog, which is 26 albums.
Wow.
And then a billion singles. I'm working my way through the discography again via the singles right now because they all have B-sides, some of which never got collected. And I haven't done a discography listen through for them in I think more than a decade. And at that point, I think the only solo record he had out was Discharge, and I listened to it once. And I didn't really think that much of it, but after I finished, and that was at the time, it was a decade ago. After I finished my first listen through of the Pillows' music, I was like, oh yeah, let me check out his solo stuff. Some of it is kind of hard to find these days, but I was able to find Discharge, which I actually liked a lot more than I remembered. He's kind of playing with sounds and compositions that you never really hear from the band on that record. But then, like, his 2 most recent solo records feel like the albums I wish the last, like, 15 years of Pillows records had been. I don't really know what's going on there. I don't really want to, like, be too harsh on the band or try to speculate as to why that is, but I thought Muddy Comedy was fucking awesome. I really, really liked it. Out of all of the new records, or rather, yeah, of all of the records that were new to me on this listen through, which was basically everything after Trial, which was like a 2012 record, I think Muddy Comedy is the one I'm like the most eager to get back to.
I had no idea they had that much music.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed they'd be like a 2 or 3 hit wonder.
Yeah. No, they put out an album almost every single year for like 2-3 decades.
Jesus.
Yeah. Very prolific band. I'm kind of debating at the end of the video putting a just like a quick section, like a single sentence on every album, just as like a funny way to round out the video. But we'll see. I still haven't finished the first draft, so.
Nice.
That's how long scripts take me. If you do the math on how many albums they have.
Oh God.
And that's like including like their B-side compilation, and then like I went through and listened to a few Noodles albums as well. You tally that shit up, like that's how long this first draft alone has taken me.
Sheesh. We gotta get you on that the Discord timer bot that makes you report your words per minute.
It's not even. I mean, my words per minute are just slow because like it's just so hard for me to organize information. You know how much time I spend not being able to remember the word I'm looking for? It's so much time. It's awful.
That's hard. Amanda Comet says, if you would write a book or a work in any other medium, what story would you like to make?
I'm not going to tell you, because I'd like to do it someday.
For me, I have always wanted to produce like a single volume of a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Just because the idea of having an entire printed book of my own work has always been like really compelling.
Yeah.
But I fucking suck at making comics, just in terms of, like, one single page takes me fucking forever.
That's true of every comic artist, though.
I feel like I'm, like, a special type of slow when it comes to comics, though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I was just saying that about writing scripts.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I've just, like... This has always been the case. I've always dreamed of doing comics, and it's always taken me too long to do.
Yeah.
To ever get further than, like, maybe halfway through one chapter before I give up and or reboot it because I've already gotten better in that time frame.
You should just do, like, the thing that so many small creators have done, do the DDLC thing and just, like, make something that's, like, 12 pages.
Yeah, but then that's not satisfying to me because it's like...
But you do that to prove that you've done it, and you use that to iron out the kinks in your process.
That's theoretically the idea, but then it's like, but I'm not doing like the thing I want to be doing.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, you kind of gotta wait until an idea that feels short form can strike you. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but I had that recently where I was like, oh my god, I finally had an idea that I want to pursue that is within my means.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
not gonna say a word about it though.
For me, I know how this sounds, but I say it with love in my heart. Rewatching and re-experiencing Rose and Maiden and then reading the manga made me go like, man, I want to make like Rose and Maiden but good. Like Rose and Maiden but with some more focus and like maybe more emphasis on the fact that they're dolls.
Yeah.
And not just like tiny magic people. I always kind of bemoaned the wasted potential there in terms of like, you kind of forget they're dolls because it's sort of a side note. I've thought before about making a Yuri where a girl like basically builds another girl and then falls in love with her own creation.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'll actually do it.
I think
I probably won't.
I think that you should. I think that you and I should try to hash that out sometime.
Yeah, maybe. Right now, I feel like all my creative juice is just being sucked up by love in a bottle. So we'll see what kind of shit I feel like making.
Yeah.
When that's done someday. Vibri says, what are your opinions on RPGs nowadays striving for the Kingdom Hearts approach with gameplay in comparison to back then, where things were more focused on turn-based gameplay? As someone who still loves turn-based combat, what are your thoughts on people often labeling those games as boring or repetitive?
I get it. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
I played through Dragon Quest IV at the start of this year on the couch on my Nintendo DSi that was full of boobs from the previous owner. There's a clip of that on the second channel you can find. Of the story. And you can hear all about that there. And who knows, maybe that'll be some good context for a later video, who's to say.
Anyway.
But I played through Dragon Quest IV on that thing, and I was like watching stuff the whole time, you know, stuff that I could kind of like zone in and out of. And I think that that's kind of like a best case scenario for turn-based gameplay for me, where it's like I didn't really have to think that much. And whenever I did think that much, like the amount of grinding I had done prior sort of didn't really necessitate it. And I think that was kind of ideal for me because it was just kind of nice to go through the motions.
RPGs are so funny for me because some of my favorite games are turn-based RPGs, and I actually really do enjoy that facet in those games. Like, I mean, the Mother series and Final Fantasy VII come to mind. Yeah. But I can also really, really hate it.
Yeah, like, I get so turned off by certain games.
I have never liked battling in Pokemon. Like, I'm always button mashing through the fighting. I loved Arceus because I could skip over fighting so often.
Insane.
I enjoyed that so much more. And it's partially because...
Meanwhile, when I played through the most recent Pokemon, I was like as underleveled as I can be.
You had to put an effort into that, though.
I did. No, I did.
And I think that what it takes to make Pokemon fun and challenging is just like contrary to how I play those kinds of games.
Yeah.
Where, like, I want to catch a lot of Pokemon and I want to see a bunch of them, and then that inherently involves battling a lot of them, and it's like I think you also get really fast.
More attached to having like one specific team. Like when I was playing through Scarlet, or I almost just said Scarlet and Violet. When I played through Violet, I was like switching out my team like every few gyms completely.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of like I have my main team, and then I gradually swap them out with cuter Pokemon.
Yeah. You have like a ship of Theseus thing, which is how most people play it.
Yeah. But I just kind of wish something like Pokemon had like two separate modes, like baby mode and hard mode.
Yeah. That being said,
I will play it like a baby given the option, and I won't be happy about it.
Yeah.
But if it means I can skip over boring fights, I will.
Yeah. I think there's a reason why Pokemon has endured on emulators. It's because there's a fast forward button.
Well, right, I was going to say another turn-based RPG I actually really love is the Metabots game for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
But that game thrives on emulator
so
because it's
slow.
Random encounters, and it is slow.
Yeah.
But I like the battles. I think that they're fun. I like actually put a lot of thought into like planning out my moves and my parts. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. I kind of get why people feel a little bit beleaguered by skidding to a halt to do turn-based battles.
Yeah.
I think it can be kind of a pace breaker.
Yeah. I do also think that most action RPGs are boring and repetitive in the same way that grinding is, though, you know?
Right. I feel like
it's like boring and repetitive, and it hurts my wrists more.
Not enough thought going into what makes turn-based RPGs fun. Like what makes strategizing that kind of format fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, That's my thought. Travis Johnson says, I'm scratching my head wondering if there's anything that's the reverse of Denny's in Japan. A foreign import of something considered kind of trashy or low tier in its birthplace that is much better in perception and quality in North America. Struggling to think of a single example. Maybe everything is just worse here.
I feel like what comes to my mind immediately... and this is more of like a sort of like a food trend thing than it is like something that is genuinely better here. But I think like Korean food
I was about to say that. Like bibimbap is literally just like, here's like leftover scraps in the fridge. But in America, we eat that shit like it's 5-star restaurant food.
Yeah. Or like the like Korean corn dog trend. And like I would absolutely believe it if you told me that those were just as popular and trendy like in South Korea.
They're popular, but I don't think they're trendy.
Well, right. Yeah.
At least not bibimbap.
In the first thing my mind went to was fucking Diamond Jamboree in Irvine, California. Like
fucking hell on earth.
Yeah. Everything there was mediocre, but people were treating it like it was the hottest shit in the world because it was just like that, like all of the like the trendy foods were being congregated there.
Every single college friend I had in California joked about what a godless place Diamond Jamboree is.
Yeah, it's awful.
Like parking there is just asking for death.
Yeah. I'm like waiting to see it crop up on like a worst of American like infrastructure list and like an urban planning channel.
Seen something like that, like a TikTok about it being terrible or something.
Yeah.
Like finally someone says it. But let me think. I mean, it's kind of hard because I feel like anything that like America could quote unquote do better, I have like nothing for comparison.
I think if anything, it might be like certain like foods that used to be considered European but are considered American now, you know? Like that kind of thing. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean like I've never heard anybody talk about I've never heard anybody who's been to Italy talk about pizza in Italy like people who've been to New York talk about New York pizza. And I know that that's like people who are really big about New York pizza tend to be people from New York, so there's kind of an inherent like an inherent like experiential bias there, which I say like
but then if they move out of New York, all they can talk about is how much better the pizza was.
Right. Yeah, whereas like I don't really hear that about like I hear that about like pasta
in Italy,
but you know, not so much the pizza.
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it. The pizza, I mean. I like shitty pizzas, so I can't imagine New York pizza really like surprising me or anything.
I believe that it's good.
I feel like another thing is no, that's not really equivalent to Denny's. But another thing that Americans imported and did not improve, but they also treat like it's the greatest shit in the entire world, is Daiso.
Right.
Like, people talk about Daiso like it's, I don't know, the Holy Land. And I'm like, this is just a dollar store. Like, I really like Daiso, too. I use it a lot for, like, picking up random little crafts and stuff, but I'll like see people talk about it in dollar service. Like, there's this amazing place near me called Daiso.
Called Daiso.
And I was like, yeah. It's the Dollar Tree, but different. With different stuff.
That's like coastal elite moment, though.
Daiso has gotten fucking expensive over here.
Yeah.
Everything is supposed to be $1 or $5 or whatever. You'll see, like, the price guide, like, 100 yen equals $5. And it's like, no, the fuck it doesn't.
No.
Like, how is the yen depreciating, but the American dollar is, like...
They ought to get in on the getting
It hurts. It's bad. It's bad. Anyway. Yeah, I think everything's just worse here. Chicanery says, do you think the Japanese love of Americana has any parallel with the American and broader Western weebiness?
No, I think they're kind of two different things.
Yeah. I think it's...
I also am not an expert, so I don't really want to say anything speculative that has, like, an obvious, like, answer.
I mean,
just
speaking very broadly, it's kind of like the same way people romanticize the idea of France, right?
Right.
Like, we see France as a very romantic, beautiful, cultured country. I think, like, romanticizing Americana is like that, whereas, like, weebs have a very specific, single-minded obsession with Japan as, like, a holy land of geek culture.
Yeah, I think it's, the fundamental difference is that, like, Americana has, like, the fact that has like American occupation is an important factor in how Japan approaches Americana, but the inverse of that is that, like, America only has, like, cultural exports to go off of for their understanding and romanticism of Japan. So I think those are two very, very different cultural contexts and resulting phenomena.
Yeah. Well, especially because, like, Americana, at least, like, what's the word? Like, I'm blanking on a word. Anecdotally, kind of seems like it was associated in its time and place with modernness to Japanese people. Like, I've seen pieces of media where, like, dressing like a flapper girl in Japan was kind of considered, like, they're called mogal, like modern girls.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of modernness was kind of aligned with Americana.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that was like a like an idea that was posited toward the general public, you know?
I don't
know.
How
much of it was like a natural response.
Yeah.
It's stuff I really want to learn more about.
I do think that there's kind of just the romanticization of the foreign. So I do think that they have that in common.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the idea of a country that's so completely different than your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Is kind of exciting.
Only certain foreign, though.
Well, yeah. Joe Uglick says, if you could order anything from the Japanese Denny's menu, what would you go with? What is your family restaurant go-to order?
And then you can read the other ones.
Deso's Prophet says, what's your favorite Denny's food? Kitty Foe says, what do you order when you go to a family-style restaurant? Would you order a parfait if it looked like the ones in anime? Do you know if that's an accurate size?
So I'm just gonna kind of blitz through these, and you can answer as well. I would be really limited, the Japanese Denny's menu, because I'm vegetarian. So I would probably just get, like,
potatoes and
eggs, yeah.
My go-to is usually pancakes. Like, if I go to a sit-down diner and they have, like, a good breakfast menu, I usually want, like, a good fat stack of pancakes.
Yeah. My go-to, like, regular American Denny's order is... It's basically like the Grand Slam without the meat, right? So it's like, you know, the eggs. I usually do over medium. Sometimes I'll just ask for it fried, and sometimes if I'm a little scared, I'll ask for it scrambled. And then sourdough toast, hash browns, and what's the other thing? There's usually like one more thing. I might be misremembering.
Juice.
Yeah, or I mean coffee usually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about those, like, huge ornate parfaits though. They just seem like a pain to eat. To me, like, a parfait that I like is literally just like granola, blueberries, and yogurt, and that's it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because for as bad as my sweet tooth is, when it comes to things like ice cream and stuff, I'm actually not a huge fan of, like, really over-decorated ice cream. Like, I kind of just like a good ice cream and then maybe, like, one topping.
Yeah.
Anything more than that just kind of feels like it becomes a slop. A slop of flavors.
Yeah, like, especially, like, I've seen, like, parfaits that have, like lychee in them, and it's like
they're like boba,
they always
and
just
lychee,
like drop them
and
in, and it's like
and cereal, and
it's all a bunch of stuff that's sitting in, like, either a syrup or like a water when it comes out of the can, so it just kind of like waters it down in this weird way.
Yeah, it's just too much. I don't want that much. Erica Ford says, hi Hazel, was wondering if you may have any new music in the works.
Yeah, I've been working on stuff. I would say that my next album is 80% complete.
Exciting.
After I get this next video out, I think my main focus is going to be to get it finished, which means I should probably talk to you about album art, Alyssa. I think I've still not described it to you. I've had the image in my head for like a year, and it's so specific I'm afraid to try to articulate it, you know?
You just gotta draw a stick figure of it for me.
I don't think I can. It's very simple, but it's also like I have it in my mind down to like the folds of the clothing. It's very annoying. It's very annoying. But yeah, there will be, God willing, there will be 2 releases this year, an EP and a full length, and that's all I'm gonna say for now.
Exciting. Shell says, my mind is on breakfast now, so I want to know, does the West Coast have a certain food that always brings about debating? I'm in New Jersey, so bringing up pork roll / Taylor ham.
Right.
Will
I've
always
heard of this.
break out into fights over which is the correct term to use. I've never heard either of those.
Yeah, it's like a regional food that has 2 different names depending on which region I think within that region you're in.
I thought Taylor ham was like the name of a drummer or something. And I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah. I don't know that there's anything like that. Pineapple on pizza, which is like so annoying.
Like that's everywhere.
Who cares? Let people eat what they want to eat.
I like it. I like the pineapple, but I can live without it too.
I only don't like it because the pineapple like fibers get stuck between my teeth.
I just don't like ham. I don't like ham on my pizza. I only like pineapple.
Yeah.
And I think pineapples are actually the only topping I enjoy.
I like mushrooms on pizza, but I don't get it very much.
I really don't. I feel like the mushrooms are often like soggy.
Interesting. To me, they usually get kind of like crispy almost.
Or like mushy, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pineapples or nothing. Just want cheese.
I do generally just prefer a cheese pizza or like a margarita pizza. I really like. I love fresh basil.
I love cheese.
I also love cheese.
Alexandria Sina Bernard says, I enjoyed the peek into Hisashi Eguchi's work in the latest video. Are there any other Hisashi Eguchi works that you recommend reading?
Oh, sorry. I cut out a little bit of context where they mentioned reading Stop Hibari-kun.
Ah, gotcha.
So that's why the other was in there. The answer is absolutely not. All of his other stuff, and like a commenter pointed this out, and I wish that I had explained that I knew this is the case in the video. But I fucking so the commenter was like, it's so funny how much Eguchi's illustration work gets romanticized because his comics, like whenever he's left to his own devices to make a comic, it's like 9 times out of 10 the most like butt-headed fucking like gross out humor, like weird, like mean-spirited shit.
That's so shocking considering how elegant his art
I know,
is.
it's so funny. His like gag manga stuff is like a lot. It's not good.
That's a shame.
But it's fine. It's fine.
Just look at his pretty pictures.
Yeah, just look at his pretty pictures.
Maverick says, in the wake of the KFC Double Down's return, what is that?
You don't know what the Double Down is? It's the KFC sandwich where the bread is 2 pieces of chicken.
Ugh. That's so fucking gross.
Yeah, it sucks.
At the time of this writing, is there a promotional food item, either at Denny's or anywhere, that you enjoy either conceptually or have actually had and didn't mind?
When I was a blood mouth, I don't mean that. When I ate meat, I was kind of a like fast food novelty item connoisseur.
Yeah, we went to Burger King.
Yeah, to get the Cheeto
things. Stuff.
Yeah.
Macaroni.
Yeah. And then like not too long before that, like there were like the Doritos like things that 7-Eleven had. And then Burger King also did the fucking burger burrito, which sucked ass. It was so bad. It was like not even worth it for the meme. but I've kind of had to fall off of that, obviously. Although whenever a place rolls out a Beyond Meat or Impossible Meat or whatever item, I always give it a shot. The one from Panda Express is okay. I'm here to tell you. Doesn't make up for the fact that I'm eating Panda Express, but what are you gonna do? However, Alyssa and I are like we've got like a carnal relationship with Taco Bell at this point. Like Taco Bell is like our third, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say if nacho fries count.
Yeah, that's like
my girl.
Yeah, I feel a part of me is missing.
I cheer out loud when I see that the nacho fries are currently available.
Yeah, likewise.
It's disgusting. Nick Ostrom says, so if Japanese Denny's is actually quality and holds a vaguely more respectable position among food establishments, where do Japanese teenagers go at too late a.m. to burn off excess teenage energy and eat questionable food in the presence of more questionable people? I think konbini. Or perhaps more importantly, where do Japanese theater kids go to be loud and obnoxious, more obnoxious than anyone in recorded history, like American theater kids do when they visit their local open late chain diner after their first show of a run? So
something that I didn't bring up in the video because I couldn't confirm it, but I saw it mentioned a few times very loosely that in the 90s, teenagers who went to family restaurants after school with other teenagers or alone, that was like a sign of delinquency, which I think is why you can't find more than a few examples of family restaurants showing up in manga or in anime about high schoolers prior to the year 2000. Like I think there was a paradigm shift throughout the 90s, but I have no way to confirm that, so don't take that as fact. It's just something I heard, like on Twitter randomly, like as I was looking into stuff for that video. But I mean, I think that you know, I think that teenagers either like you said that they go to konbini or they just go to family restaurants, and instead of being like loud and eating questionable food, I think they're kind of just like either like chatting or looking at their laptops, you know.
Well, I think they just hang around outside.
You know, I feel like I've also heard, again, very anecdotally, that certain parts of Japan are like very, very strict about loitering. Especially like children. I've heard that Japan's infrastructure, like despite how nice it looks, is like very anti-child.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was reading like an article on Unseen Japan about that. Obviously, you know, that's just one article, so I'm no expert. I'm sure that there's a good amount of gray area there, but
yeah. I mean, every time I hear stuff like that, I just think about how fucking big America is and how every state feels like its own country.
Right,
and
yeah.
how even within a state, you can find such different culture shifts. So it's like, you know, I hear stuff like that about other countries. I take it with a grain of salt.
Definitely.
And assume that maybe in some places it's like that, but not all.
I mean, especially with how dense Japan is.
Mm-hmm. Cameron W. says, the only thing from Denny's I remember is the one I went to had this tendency to play the 5-minute version of You Dropped a Bomb on Me, and listening to that fake bomb drop whistle over and over while drinking terrible coffee and questionable food. That sounds insanity-inducing.
Yeah, definitely. No question. I just liked that. I just liked that comment.
Ari Cruz says, are there any haunts you and Alyssa have developed since settling in from your move that hold that same feeling or similar feeling of comfort that you have for past trips with bandmates to Denny's? Is it, in fact, a Denny's?
No.
I don't even remember the last time I was in a Denny's. I think it was a time in California when we went out with my sibling.
I think it was either that or it was a time where you'd picked me up from the airport and we needed to eat somewhere, so we ate at a Denny's. Denny's was kind of always more my thing with like bandmates, so it didn't really, like, I'm not gonna subject you to Denny's, you know.
I like pancakes from Denny's just fine.
Sure,
but
yeah.
I was never gonna, like, it was never gonna be the top of my picks for food.
I don't really think Like we have like our set of restaurants that we like to cycle through whenever we're feeling like eating out. So rather than just like going to one place consistently, it's usually that. I think the closest thing we have is ordering Taco Bell, which we do. Probably more than you think, but maybe less than that makes it sound like. We'll say.
Too much.
You don't need to know our business. Our Taco Bell business.
It's between us and Taco Bell. Estrella Moon says, "Hi, you two. Love watching the vids and listening to these Q&As at work. You guys help the 11-hour shifts fly by. I make tractors at John Deere. Holy shit."
I know.
Whoa.
I know. I love that.
I was like, 11 hours?
Yeah.
Tractors?
I know.
What are some shows or movies you two watched that hold a special memory because you watched it together? A show that is important to me is Mysterious Girlfriend X. I watched it with my now husband back in middle school before we started dating.
Amazing.
That's so cute. I was always looking forward to the new episodes, so I had an excuse to go to his house and spend time with him. Aww.
The fact that it's Mysterious Girlfriend X of all shows, which is like so trashy and so bad.
I love
but like
it.
there's something about it. I swear to God. I finished watching it while I was working on the Denny's video. While I was editing, I was finishing watching it, and I was like, I still feel like I just don't have the words to describe why I feel so charmed by it. Whereas so many other things that are almost exactly like it are just like totally off-putting to me. But there's just something about it, man. I don't know. It's got the riz.
Side question, Hazel, have you ever heard of the Crunchyroll produced motion comics called Manga 2.5? I don't remember all the shows they produced with it, but I do remember watching one called Hottie Girl. It's on YouTube, but I believe the original English subtitles are lost media. However, if you know Spanish, there are episodes in 1080p. Sorry if this leads you down a weird rabbit hole.
I looked at it a little bit. It seems very strange. That's definitely a rabbit hole for someone else, but very, very, very weird. As far as answering your first question, I feel like we kind of have...
Everything I watch is special when I watch it with
most
you.
Most of the anime that we watch together. Almost like the only anime that I watch entirely by myself is either stuff that I don't want to subject you to or stuff I watch while I'm editing. But maybe in terms of like things that we watched together early on in our relationship, or like while we were still long distance, like...
I don't know why, but one of the earliest things that's coming to mind for me is the Teen Titans, but like the version of it where I like cut out all the episodes that I thought weren't worth watching.
You streamlined it, and we watched it together that way, and it kind of still didn't hold up. But it was still.
I enjoyed it.
No, so did I. But that was when we were living together in SoCal. Yeah.
I think we started it while we were long distance and then finished it in person.
I think that is true. Yeah. Aside from that, though. What did we even watch when we were
Steven Universe?
God, yeah, it would have been, yeah. And even that, like, I remember we would kind of have to play catch up with each other based on who else was watching it that we were around. My Little Pony.
We did watch a lot of My Little Pony.
Yeah.
It was certainly more enjoyable because I watched it with you.
Yeah, and because, like, we didn't have, like, that much stake in any of it, you know?
It's just a casual, fun and flirty watch.
Yeah. It's just a thing to have on.
I always enjoy watching stuff with Hazel.
Yeah. Yeah, even when we're watching something bad, we get to do the fucking old man Muppet routine. Every
time. When we went to see the Mario movie today, we were snarking at every single trailer before the movie.
Yeah, don't worry, we weren't sitting next to children, so we weren't harshing their vibe.
Well, I try to be quiet, because I don't want to be that annoying fucking guy who's, like, talking during all the trailers.
Yeah, that as well.
I just lean over and whisper in Hazel's ear, "Are movies even good anymore? What is this shit?" Ash says, this came up in your last Q&A. You removed a bunch of your videos recently. You discussed your reasoning why around the Oshi video, for example, but I also noticed your Sing Yesterday for Me video was removed as well. Held a special place for me as it was the video that got me into the manga and the works of Kei Tome more generally. Totally get how it was an early video, but I'd be interested in your thoughts on what about it didn't sit with you anymore if you had any. Backup question, have you read any other more recent Kei Tome manga? Rocky Princess for the music angle, and Karakida Ke no Kosho Gurashi for the vibes. Seem up your alley?
So to answer the first question, it's kind of just old. It doesn't really represent how I think about making videos. And more broadly, like, I make a point in there that I still want to interrogate more, which is, like, the idea of seinen written by women having kind of an interesting and unique flair to it. But I kind of would rather just, like, dig into why that is rather than just saying, hey, this is a thing and leaving it at that. But yeah, mostly it was an early video that I made because I thought I could in a brief amount of time. And I think some of my arguments about that show kind of don't make sense. Like I say, like, oh yeah, it, like, does a good job condensing the will they, won't they, by getting their feelings out on the table. But then, like, it's like a 90 chapter thing, and like only like the first 12 chapters feel like they're going in a direction where it could wrap soon before it kind of spirals out of control. And I was like primarily talking about those early chapters. Like I don't remember if I acted like I did or not, but I have not read that entire manga, and I'm not interested in doing that because I just like that first bit so much. So that's mostly why. I still like that I made that video entirely in black and white, though. That was a fun little thing. I'm always kind of looking to...
Yeah, that video was stylish.
Yeah, I'm always looking to kind of place more arbitrary limitations on myself, just for the sake of fun. As far as other Kei Tome stuff I've read, there was a short story collection that I really liked, that I think was kind of recent. One of the stories on there has really stuck with me. It is about a girl whose older brother dies suddenly, and she's in a mad dash to figure out why, and I guess very vague spoilers, but in the end she doesn't find out. She comes to the conclusion that she'll never understand why. And I think that kind of note to end on of I guess I just have to live with not knowing this is very interesting to me, because I feel like so many stories set themselves up to have a really interesting conclusion. But the kind of almost the unique tragedy in the mundaneness of somebody just kind of being gone was something that I thought was very fresh when I read it in I don't know, 2019 or whatever. I haven't revisited it since, but I think back on it very fondly.
Nice. I never know how to segue into the next question when I don't have anything to contribute. Haha what says, what's up? What's up? What the fuck is up, Hazel?
Not much.
Not much. How about you? Sega Man says, sticking with the Japanese Denny's topic, what is the most fascinating collaboration you've ever seen happen with an American brand in Japan? Mine is probably when Kellogg's collaborated with One Piece to make a figure of Luffy standing on a plain white base with their logo and literally nothing else significant. The absolute bare minimum.
I thought that was really funny.
That rules.
I don't know that I have an answer, do you?
I mean, my mind always instantly goes to Sonic Hooters.
That's the one. Yeah.
I would have done anything. I would do anything to step back in time to the period when they were doing that, and teleport to Japan and participate at a Hooters where Sonic was strung up everywhere like a fucking sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, that's the one.
That'd be beautiful. Devin Fitzpatrick says, you referred to some blogs discussing Denny's references in specific anime, and that made me curious. How did you do research for an idiosyncratic topic like this? Were you mostly just rewatching anime you'd already seen and recalled seeing references to family restaurants in, or are there other sorts of sources you look to for guidance?
I think Beck and Bochi were the only two where I remembered or just knew offhand that there was a Denny's in them. But I knew that it was a thing that I'd seen plenty, in the same way that, like, you know, so many anime have McDonald's. And when I made that offhand joke in the Lucky Star video, I was trying to find more references to have a more, like, complete visual gag. And that was where the idea for the video first struck me. And I found out that there was, like, a Facebook page that compiled, like a good handful of random examples. So that, combined with the ones that I knew offhand and ones that I had asked some friends about, got me, like, maybe a third of the way there. And then I was like, this just isn't enough. I'm just gonna ask people on Twitter and see how much of a hand I can get. And people fucking came through. Those like tourism blogs that I posted were linked to me, not all of them, but a few of them were linked to me directly by a particular Twitter user, for example, and a lot of other people, like, you know, they would get it down to the particular episode.
Yeah, the
people really came
MVPs.
through. Few people even had timestamps. It was very, very helpful.
MVPs.
Yeah. So that was kind of a funny instance where I almost say, like, I didn't really do that much research on that part. Like, the research that I did for that video was mostly the history stuff at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. A beautiful moment where everyone came together for
I know,
Denny's.
everybody had their hand on that ball. It was very beautiful.
Advent children moment.
Yeah.
Sarah is cool says, you briefly mentioned Rent a Girlfriend, which I recently watched the first season of, and since watching episode 1, I can't figure out whether I enjoy it or hate it. On one hand, it's about a desperate horny guy who just keeps dragging a girl he barely knows into more and more stressful situations, and most of his thought processes either make me say ew or roll my eyes or both. On the other hand, it's entertaining to watch him stumble through it all and somehow make it through. Also, the existence of implied Yuri grandmas is a plus.
Yeah, I gotta know about that.
Say more.
Yeah.
Do you ever have shows that you just can't figure out your feelings on? How do you resolve that? I'm going crazy over this.
Sometimes I make a video, and sometimes I embrace that it's kind of fun to not know my feelings about something.
Yeah, I feel that way about quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just comfortable liking and also hating something at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not a stranger to those emotions coexisting.
But yeah, I feel like, what were some recent ones?
I mean, I almost like hate even admitting that I've been watching this, but I've been keeping up with Onimai for some fucking reason. Well, I'll tell you exactly why. I really like the animation. Like, that sounds like, oh, I'm reading the porn for the plot, but, like, genuinely, I just like the way that show looks. And it has moments of being like, oh, this is cute, and then, like, everything else in it makes me go, like, I really wish I wasn't watching this anymore. You know, something is bad when I finish it or, like, get a good chunk into it, I'm like, I have no desire to ever show this to Hazel.
Yeah, and I have no desire to watch it based on
because
what you told me.
less good anime that I've watched, I've thought, like, oh, this will be fun to rewatch with Hazel. This one's a solid, like, no, she doesn't need to see this. I don't need to see this, but I keep watching it. Yeah. Gears is kind of like that. I kind of felt that way about Dokuro-chan, although in retrospect, like, as I get further and further away from how strange watching Dokuro-chan is, the more I like it, because I'm not so close up to it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's an important part of media consumption. Sometimes it's okay to not go back to things.
But then sometimes I feel like I kind of put on the rose-tinted glasses about stuff, you know?
Yeah. But I think being able to recognize that you might be doing that is also important.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm like full of burps.
It's okay. You ate before we did this.
Yeah, I did. Because I was like, if I don't eat right now, halfway through recording, I'm gonna go, I'm hungry. I'm
already hungry.
I don't want to answer questions anymore. I'm hungry.
It's okay. I'm gonna have a little late night sandwich when we're done with this.
Oh my god, we're not even halfway through. Dougal. I'm sorry. Dougal C says, I wanted to say a big thank you for recommending Please Be Happy a few Q&As ago. I'm glad you played it. Thank you for listening to me. I'm not sure how much of the writing you were involved with, Alyssa. Not very much, like 1%. But I loved every minute of it. Art, characters, voice acting, all top notch. I was really taken aback when I found out it was set in Wellington. Given how much of the world sees New Zealand, I imagine it was chosen to evoke a sense of wonder/fantasy. Ended up giving me a bunch of nostalgia and homesickness, which really added to the experience. Sorry, I know this is a longer question, but just to put a pin in that, it's set in Wellington, New Zealand, because one of the main directors of the game was born in Korea, raised in New Zealand, and then kind of bounced back and forth between New Zealand, Korea, and China. So Miho's backstory, just in terms of like kind of drifting all over the world, is based heavily on her experiences, and is a very personal story in that regard.
Something that I think is really interesting about this comment is that it's really fascinating insight into the fact that, like, when I see something that's set in a specific location, I assume at a baseline it's because that's where this person is from, or it's somewhere they've spent time in. So the idea of assuming, like, oh, well, if something is set in Wellington, New Zealand, there's no way that it would be for any other reason
than magic,
than to make it seem othering. Not that I think that's a bad faith read or anything like that, but it's just very interesting to think that
I mean, like,
is an assumption.
Yeah, like, when is anything ever set in New Zealand?
Right.
Like, isn't the association with New Zealand, like, fucking, like, wasn't Lord of the Rings filmed there or something? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, like, all in, like, the parts that are, like, uninhabited, basically.
Yeah. I can see how that would cause that
definitely
that thought process.
Yeah.
Have either of you had experiences where somewhere something you know really well has unexpectedly shown up in a piece of media? I imagine Americans are more used to seeing their city/culture represented, like Denny's, but the US is a big place, so I'm sure there are some aspects that you don't see much of. On an unrelated note, have either of you come across the 90s Scottish indie band called Yakuza? Not sure they were able to challenge Matthew Sweet for the title of highest profile otaku musicians, but they've just released a 25-year anniversary album, and I recently discovered that my parents went to a bunch of their gigs when they were younger, which is pretty cool.
I've never listened, or I think I tried listening to Yakuza, and I was like, oh, this isn't really for me.
Yeah.
I don't know that I got the feeling that they were huge weebs or anything. Like, it kind of seemed like they just thought the name sounded cool.
Yeah, I always wonder how much of a hard time they have in the indie music scene with people trying to pronounce their band name.
Yeah, their SEO game is terrible.
Yatsura.
Yeah. Like, I understand why Gino just calls it the Lum Show.
Well, I also think in a lot of other regions it's just called Lum.
Well, right, no, yeah. So. Like, I know that's really where that comes from, but just in terms of shorthand, like, no matter how much, like, anime you watch, Urusei Yatsura is just kind of a tongue twister if you're not somebody who speaks the language.
Yeah.
To answer that first question, Motherfucking Sorry to Bother You is set in the Bay Area, which is more or less where I grew up. Some people are kind of anal about what they define the Bay Area as. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I think I'm allowed to claim it is because there's a fucking Gabby Lala cameo in that movie, and she was such a hometown hero that I bought her album on CD at a like locally owned grocery store near where I like a city over from where I grew up. So I think that means that it's right up my alley. And yeah, like, that movie just, like, captures so beautifully, like, so many things that are uplifting and discouraging about that area. It made me feel very, very warm for that place. I watched it like not too long after I first started to feel homesick for my hometown after I moved out, and kind of came in clutch at a good time. I didn't even know going in that it was set in the Bay Area.
Yeah. For me, and just for clarification, because I think a lot of people think this, I did not grow up in Orange County. I moved to Orange County for what was supposed to be a temporary situation while I did college. And I kind of ended up stuck there because my entire support system was there after I made a bunch of college friends. And, like, all my, like, kind of roommate options were there. And I was really hesitant to leave and end up somewhere with a bunch of people I didn't know. So even though Orange County was always kind of outside of my budget and kind of miserable, I ended up staying there for a long time because I loved my friends. But prior to that, I grew up in SoCal cities that were actually truly, like, nowheresville. Like,
it's like crazy.
It's like, I can't say any specific locations because I really don't want to dox my family. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen the cities I grew up in show up in anything, period. And it's kind of like, I don't even know if there's, like, a culture I can define.
Right.
Because it's like everything is so empty and so far apart and so lonely and so disconnected from each other that the world kind of existed in my house and in the car ride to the grocery store and then in the car ride back, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe part of that was just because, like, I wasn't really allowed to leave the house on my own. Ever. But
Ooh.
I felt so disconnected from my surroundings that I felt very different moving to Washington and being in a city where I walk places because I felt so much more aware of where I am and, like, where I am living. So even though, like, I've only been in Seattle a short time, I'll still see it pop up and stuff and get kind of excited because there is a definable experience I have living here that when I see it in media now, and obviously Seattle is, like, pretty prone to popping up and stuff because it's a major city, so, like, I watched the second Life is Strange game, and it starts out in Seattle and I got all excited and then they leave Seattle pretty early on in the game. But I was like, oh, Seattle mention.
I had that with this fucking short that an animator, I think he's a former Studio Bones animator, I might be wrong, made, called Halloween Pajama. It is not as evident in the short, but in the manga that it's based on, like, a doujin he did. It's set in Seattle because he liked visiting it for a con, I think, so much.
Oh, yeah.
Just very, very, very cute.
That one, I don't know if we've talked about her on your Q&A. There was an old manga artist / cheesecake cosplayer, and her name...
Oh,
what was her pen name?
Bangi Pongi?
Yeah, Bangi Pongi.
I fucking love her. She's amazing.
I think she's mixed and had, like, maybe an American mom who... Or maybe her parents just moved to America for some reason. I'm not really sure what the situation is, but she had parents living in Seattle, so she, like, had, like, a little diary on her old website, and her husband had, like, diary entries too.
Yeah, and that like, website is still hosted.
Yeah,
on Gainax's website.
Yeah. They had, like, little diaries about visiting Seattle and other places, like, I think for their honeymoon or whatever. It was really interesting. Mind you, this was a long time ago, and climate change has moved fast, so things might be different now. But to hear her husband say that he kind of felt like the climate in Seattle wasn't too different from Japan, except maybe more mild, I think is what he said.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's really interesting to hear. Now I feel like I can be prepared if we ever, when we are ever able to travel to Japan.
Yeah.
But I know summers there are brutal, so I'd rather avoid summer. That was kind of a tangent, but yeah.
Yeah.
I get more excited seeing Seattle pop up and stuff because it actually is like relevant to literally anybody.
I mean, it's also a place that changes so much that almost everything's set there that's actually filmed on location there is immediately of historical importance. You know, like there's a fucking Sir Mix-a-Lot, like an early Sir Mix-a-Lot single with a music video called On Broadway, which is about Broadway and Capitol Hill. And like we're not over there very much, but like I found out through that video that there used to be a Taco Bell.
God damn it.
I know.
I just want her back.
I'd get on the train to go over there.
I just want her back.
Yeah. I'd get on the train easy to go there to get Taco Bell in a fucking heartbeat if I could.
I laughed just now because I remembered that when I was playing Pokemon Go, my hometown, the welcome to insert town name sign, Pokemon Go's description of it was a very lonely sign. And I was like, yeah. Destructo says 2 questions if that's all right.
I thought you were a Mega Tokyo head growing up. You should be able to read that easy.
I didn't have trouble reading it.
I'm kidding.
I was torn on Destructo or sounding out the Z.
Right, yeah.
Destructo.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Shut the fuck up, woman. 2 questions if that is all right. 1, have you ever read Yonen Buzz before? I have not. What is that?
Read more of the question.
I found a copy for like $5, saw a manga guy with a guitar, and bought it immediately. The art can be cool. It's even a page from volume 1, like right in the middle, that has Nirvana drawn as manga characters with write-ups about each of them. If you've not read it, I think you'd get a kick out of it, and it's pretty funny.
I hadn't read it. I did a little bit of looking into it, and apparently the fictional band, like back when it was like a webcomic or whatever, before it was being published in an official capacity, the fictional band that the main characters were in was called Prussian Blue. But they had to change it to Plastic Chew because Prussian Blue is the name of a white nationalist punk band.
Ooh, no.
Yeah. So the author had to switch that up. It seems very cute. I think it's like a German comic that got put out on like Tokyo Pop's like international manga line or whatever.
Gotcha. On the subject of guitar stuff, can we get a Hazel rig rundown? What's your pedal board like if you use one? Favorite amps and pedals if you have any?
I don't use an amp basically ever. I hate recording amps. And I like Logic's amp sims a lot, and more I've been trending toward not even having an amp sim and just like having the direct input sound kind of lead the tone. But I do use a pedal board, which I have hooked up and ready to go at all times. I just need to plug power into it. And the chain on it is I've got a chromatic tuner. I've got the TC Electronic Afterglow chorus pedal, which I don't really like that much. I feel like I can never get like the chorus sound I'm looking for out of it. I've got a strange pedal, the Way Huge Saucy. A friend, my old bandmate, gave it to me out of the blue. It's like a clone that has like a treble knob that only turns the treble down. Like I'm a Number Girl fan. I like really treble-y stuff, so I predominantly use that for bass. Following that, I have a blues driver, which I use on almost everything. And then I have a, which Big Muff is it? It's the fucking, it's the op amp Big Muff, which I use whenever I can. It's very, it's got a very tasteless sound to it that I really like. But it's not good for everything. And that's basically the long and short of it.
Nice. Any pedal heads out there? Platon Pizza 3000 says, "Hey Hazel and Melissa, I'm afraid that I have to bring French stuff up again, but have you heard about the French version of Higurashi no Nakukoro ni titled Le Sanglot des Cigales?" I feel like I read that incredibly wrong.
You tried to read that like it was Tagalog.
I did. It was self-published and translated by one guy alone as a passion project in CD-ROM physical form. It's based on the original version of the game with original sprites and received a PEGI 7 rating because they could only judge it based on the bonus minigame.
That is the most amazing fucking shit I've ever heard.
The translator Pierre Bankov is great, and a lot of care has been put into the translation. That's fucking
so
fantastic.
Cute. I love that. I need to stress, the French thing was a joke. we can't make this a thing.
I have French relatives. It's okay.
Yeah, I watched the Mario movie today.
Which is made by French people,
Yeah.
So not all French people are bad. Yolko says, "Hi, if you could have a piece of a chain restaurant, like a booth, a branded plate, a plastic sign, integrated into your living space, what would it be?" Oh, a neon sign.
Yeah, those are really cute.
I want a cute neon sign. I've thought about, like, I was like, how much is it to get a custom neon sign? Because that would be kind of fun on my wall. Just like a little one. The answer is expensive.
I feel like they make
they make
false,
cheap little ones.
False ones.
Which are probably like better for you or whatever. I feel like neon lights are probably not like great to be blasted by at all times.
Anybody who's interested in some Seattle history, I think it's worth looking up Seattle's connection to neon signs. Mm-hmm. Once you notice it, you don't stop noticing it. Mm-hmm. It's very cute. I think my answer is not necessarily that I would want these in my living space, but a lot of the chain restaurants, like sit-down places that I went to with my family growing up, did that thing where the walls were like lined with like generic Americana. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, you know, like when I was like a bored kid, like waiting for my fucking basket of
staring at those
chicken tenders to arrive, I would just stare at everything.
Yeah. There's a place like that. Let me think if I'm thinking of the right place. I feel like maybe that breakfast place we go to every now and then. The one that does the good French toast. Do they have a bunch of stuff up on their walls?
I don't know which place you're talking about.
I feel like maybe I'm mixing up different breakfast places in my mind into one conglomerate. Yeah. Anyway, I also like that kind of thing. Roder Ray Hubble says, "This is a question I've had from a Q&A a while ago. Lissa said something about being into Star Trek. As someone else who has the rare intersection of manga, anthropology, and Star Trek as interests, I was curious what specifically she enjoyed. TOS, TNG, series, maybe if she was a diehard Spurker." And of course, Hazel, please chime in. So Star Trek is a funny one because I grew up around a bunch of I say this /gen, not in a joking way, like homeschooled autistic boys who are all deep into sci-fi. So I heard the virtues of Star Trek extolled to me ad nauseum growing up. And I was kind of resistant to it because there's that whole stereotype that Star Trek is for science nerds. I don't know why people say that, because to me, Star Trek is much more about like philosophical questions, much more so than science. I mean, I guess there's some science if you look for it, but I've never, at least from what I've seen of TOS, I never watched it and thought like, oh man, all this science is going over my head. Like, it's kind of just a footnote more than anything. It's much more about like steering ships in my mind. But anyway, so I was kind of resistant to Star Trek growing up because in my mind it was for nerds and people who like science, and
unlike you, who
I was a cool nerd who liked anime. It's different. No, but yeah, so then I got dragged to see both of the Star Trek reboot movies. The
J.J. Abrams ones.
J.J. That's fun to say. And I was also resistant to seeing those, but I kind of got dragged to them semi against my will. And Into Darkness, I was like, there's a spark of something here. Like, I didn't love these movies, but there's something here that I'm curious about. And it's, are Kirk and Spock actually as gay as I feel like they are? So then I finally opened that ancient tome of precious yaoi history. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot here.
It is crazy.
It's a matter of historical, like, importance.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I liked these guys in these movies. I kind of want to go back to the old series that they're from and check that out. So I kind of I think someone had made a list of episodes, like, these are my standout, like, if you gotta watch any Star Trek episodes, watch these ones. And I kind of went through that. And then I still don't think I've seen every single episode of TOS, but I've seen quite a lot of it. And I kind of just watched it at random, like, whatever episode I felt like watching next. So I kind of watched it out of order. But yes, indeed, they were as gay as I thought, and maybe even gayer sometimes.
It's crazy.
But
it's really, really crazy.
It was very funny to get into it through the reboot movies and then watch the old series and be like, oh, they fucked this up in those reboots. Like, they fucking... J.J. Abrams chewed this up and digested it and then vomited it, but, like, made it worse somehow.
Yeah.
That said, there's, like, there's things to enjoy about those movies, but they're definitely...
I've never known anybody who's had anything significantly good to say about them.
My biggest complaint about them is that it really does feel like weirdly flanderized versions of those characters that kind of miss the point of them. Like, Kirk...
Can you imagine J.J. Abrams missing the point of source material?
I'm sure that so many people have said this, but I still, like, have a bone to pick about it. Like, his characterization of Kirk is easily the worst out of all the characters, and he's such a heart of the series and that cast of characters that it's really frustrating to see him not get it. Like, it's a thing in the old series that Kirk goes through a lot of different love interests. Like, he meets a new beautiful alien woman, they fall in love, he has to say goodbye because his ship is more important, etc., etc. This happens a lot, but it's like, Kirk is charming in the old series, but he's not a hoe. He just, like, falls in love easily. But his mission's always more important, no matter how deeply he loves someone. And then reboot movies just translating that into, he's a man whore, he sleeps with anything with tits. Fucking, doesn't matter if she's your girlfriend, he'll flirt with her too. Fuck you. And it's just like... guy is so unlikable. The first movie also has, like, this weird fucking running thing of, like, acting like Kirk is, like, sickly. Like, Bones keeps ominously being like, your vitals are crazy right now. You gotta take it easy. And I think the idea...
because all the blood is being pumped to his cock.
I think the idea is supposed to be like, oh, see, Kirk is such an overworker. He's on that grind set all the time. He's always so stressed out. But I don't know. It just, like, felt like a non-character
God, something
trait.
in a J.J. Abrams movie not coming together. Can you imagine?
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, fucking sucks. Because I actually think that, like, the reboot actors are really good. Like, I think that they all play their characters well.
The costuming doesn't really do the Spock a lot of justice. IMO.
He needed fucking eyeshadow.
I know.
Like, the eyeshadow makes up for the negative space that the small eyebrows leave. You need the eyeshadow.
It's like how they had to like cut back Divine's hairline to make room for the eyebrows in Pink Flamingos.
Yeah, I'm just kind of spitting at random, but I love TOS. I haven't really seen enough of any of the other Star Trek series.
We watched like half of the first season of The Next Generation, and I really enjoyed it. It made me sleepy, like, in a good way.
Yeah, we kept watching it before bed, so my association with TNG is being like, this is interesting. Honk shoe.
Yeah.
Falling asleep to it.
I really like the cast, though. I think Data's really cute.
Yeah, I like Data.
I actually did like Wesley.
I fucking love Wesley,
Yeah.
TBH.
Yeah. I know Tasha is gone as soon as she's there, but she's great. I had an old friend in my hometown who's named after Tasha, and I really need to do the math on whether or not they jumped the gun and named her after that character, assuming that she was gonna stick around or not.
Oh my god. That's really funny.
Yeah. Or if it was like a retrospective thing. I'll need to think about that. But yeah, we've not seen very much TNG. I've seen more of the original series, and I feel like I like it in the same way that I like vintage tokusatsu, where I'm kind of just there for the vibes.
I love how silly TOS is. Like, so many hardcore Star Trek fans roll their eyes at it, or are kind of embarrassed about that. But that's like a plus to me. Like, part of why I haven't tried to get into the newer Star Trek series. It just feels honest, you know? Like, the production design being so bare is like... I fucking love it when they, like, need an alien, and so they just, like, tape some stuff to a dog or whatever. There's nothing funnier. It makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
Also, I talked a lot about...
I don't know if this is, like launched into the public knowledge or not, but I've heard a few times, and I think I may have heard this from one of my old bandmates whose dad was friends with someone who wrote some of the episodes for the original series. Mm-hmm. That the Tribbles episode, there's that scene where he bursts open like the overhead hatch, and like a bunch of them start pouring out at him, and he's like reacting to it. The people off the camera, according to this, you know, it's either a rumor or it's a game of telephone, but the crew who were throwing them down at him at Shatner disliked the guy so much that they were throwing them as hard as they could.
Yeah, I feel like it's possible, because when you watch it, like, more keep coming.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks like he isn't expecting them every time
him.
So I can imagine the crew up there just like, I'm gonna hit him again.
Yeah.
one more.
Aim for the face. Same for the face.
Yeah, Shatner seems insufferable. He's kind of, I don't know, he's a funny guy. He's a diva.
He's like,
he has a lot of personal anecdotes about, like, him and Nimoy, where he's like, yeah, I love Nimoy so much, but he told me I wasn't allowed to come to his wedding, and his family wouldn't let me go to his funeral. It's so weird. Just, like, the way he, like, antagonized the shit out of Nimoy is so fascinating. I talked a lot about Kirk and Spock, but I also actually, like, really adore the entire cast of TOS. Like, I really love every character. I especially have a soft spot for Chekhov for some reason.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he looks like he's supposed to be the cute young one, but he kind of just looks, like, old, and his wig is varying degrees of, like, fucking exploded looking is really funny to me.
Yeah.
He's kind of got, like, an ugly face. But, like, in a cute way.
Yeah, in a way that, like, actors in the 60s could, because TVs were small.
Yeah. I like that a lot about him. I like that, like, there's a lot of Kirk situationally being, like, kind of protective of him, because he's supposed to be, like, the youngest member on the crew. I fucking love Uhura.
Yeah, how could you not?
How could you not? She's... I had Yuri feelings about her and the nurse.
Right.
Chappelle.
Yeah.
Chapel.
Chappelle.
Why the fuck did I pronounce it that way?
That's fine.
Yeah, it's an ensemble cast that I really like.
Yeah.
And nothing makes me happier than a batch of characters where I can kind of throw any of them at each other and be interested in seeing what happens.
I think that's the strength that makes a serialized like episodic television series or cartoon or anime or whatever.
Liking the characters enough to say, what if
these two
got stuck in an elevator and it's like somehow like the best episode in the entire series. Like, you know you've succeeded with a cast when you can do that, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Sorry for explaining that so at length. I really do like Star Trek. Yep. Hey Sayer says, what's a meal y'all always look forward to no matter what?
I love making myself a sandwich. I love making myself a sandwich. just like a normal like fucking white person, like either like a veggie patty or avocado.
I always look forward to Indian curry.
Yeah, same.
Which is kind of like a non-descriptor, but like a butter masala or a tikka masala, which I know is like basic AF. But
well, yeah, and those are also kind of like byproducts of like British colonization and stuff like that.
Sorry, I'm a fake curry fan.
It's fine.
But I like butter.
I just need to say that before someone else scoffs at you.
I know. You can scoff at me.
We know.
I know it's the equivalent of eating cheese pizza. I like it. It's yummy. LL says, this has to be the most boring kind of question, but it pops into my head every time your videos remind me of a mid-2000s series that I used to see everywhere on the shelves, but never hear anyone else talk about. Did you ever encounter a manga 4-koma called Shoulder a Coffin Kuro?
I never did. I don't recall ever seeing it on a shelf, but the author, oh my god, what is her name? It's like Kyozuki something. She did a series with a name that I can never remember the title of because it's long. It's like Geijutsu Ken.
I don't think I've ever seen this, but the cover art's very cute. Her name is Satoko. Oh, sorry, that's a novel. What's her name? Satoko. Satoko
Kyuzuki, yeah. She did another series that I picked up on a whim, although I can't find one of the volumes, like, kind of toward the middle of it, and it's, like ridiculously expensive online, so I may never own every volume, but the rest of them were on Right Stuff, and they were on sale, and I was like, this seems cute. I'll pick it up.
Yeah, her style's cute.
Yeah, I really like her style.
Soda Boy says, do you have a favorite localized anime opening theme song? Anything from translated lyrics to completely new opening is fine. Doesn't have to strictly be American.
The Italian Urseazza opening.
It's great.
Is kind of the obvious one. Alyssa once got a speeding ticket while listening to that song.
My trauma. I was barely speeding.
You literally weren't. You were literally just going down a hill, and it was causing you to go like two miles over the speed limit.
And my brakes squeaked loudly when I held my brakes because my car was always falling apart.
And it's like we were living in an area where like nobody
walked over there.
There was literally no danger.
Everyone
to
sped
speak
down
of.
that hill.
Yeah. If anything, you sped less than everyone we ever saw barreling down that fucking thing.
Fucking bullshit. Anyway, the Tenchi Universe dub theme is great. I think it is. Actually, I know that it is still just sung by the Japanese singer.
Right. And then the character songs, I think they had other singers come in.
But that's like the most one-to-one equivalent I've ever seen as far as like a dub theme song goes. Recently I heard B4Kids Kirby anime opening again, and I was like, this is like a full-blown big band song. Like, this song is really
they popped
cool.
off with it. I kind of think it's better than the original.
I still really like the original.
Yeah, me too. But it's like the original is like kind of low energy, especially compared to that. And fucking same goes for the goddamn Pokemon opening, the first one.
Yeah, I don't really like the Japanese Pokemon. I think
the first one is cute, but like it has nothing on the sense of scope that carries with it.
I feel like the English Pokemon theme is just like, it feels exactly as big as that franchise wound up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the first Japanese opening feels kind of like it could have been the opening for just anything.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it was written the same day it was recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean, there are so many the most recent Pat Mac video about anime dub themes.
That video is fantastic.
Very, very good. It's a very good primer.
I recommend.
Yeah.
Delilah Decker says, so Denny's as a restaurant sure does have some interesting menu items. One of my favorite items is incredibly cursed. I don't remember what it is called, but it's a grilled cheese sandwich with mozzarella sticks tucked inside of it, served with marinara sauce and fries. It's terrible, and I love it, and it is what I get almost every time I hit up a Denny's. I guess I don't really have a question. I just need people to know that sandwich exists.
That's so fucked up. I've never heard of that.
Me neither.
I think Denny's might have some, like, within the States and within North America, because I know Canada has a slightly different menu. There's some regional variations.
I keep choking myself.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's because I'm trying to drink quickly so that I'm not...
You don't have to drink quickly.
Okay, I'll drink slowly. Kylie says, I'm an American who's never been to Denny's because I was an IHOP purist. Same. If it's a choice between Denny's and IHOP, I will pick IHOP every time. Should I go and what should I get? My decision may rest on whether or not they have chicken and waffles.
You shouldn't go to Denny's.
You shouldn't go to Denny's.
Denny's as an American, it's like that Michael Haneke quote about funny games. It's like, it will find you. And if it doesn't, you don't need to go.
Yeah, I mean, IHOP or Waffle House are the superior...
You've been to Waffle House?
Yeah.
Where?
I don't fucking know where, but I know that every now and then my college gang would get, like, manic and be like, it's time for us to make the sacred journey to Waffle House.
I thought it was Freebirds.
No, it was a Waffle House. So I would kind of just, like, end up in somebody's car and go to Waffle House.
I don't think I knew that there were Waffle Houses in Orange County.
Let me double... It wasn't in Orange County. We made a drive for it.
Well, right. Yeah. Okay. That makes a little more sense.
Let's see. Where in California is this? Alright, so there's Long Beach, there's Santa Ana.
Oh, if it was Santa Ana, yeah.
Yeah, it was...
Just, I think still Orange County. I don't know. One asks, other than Denny's, are there any environments in media that left an impression on you with the level of consideration, like a particularly cozy house or an admirably mapped out town? I really like the location in, well, I guess rather the way I should phrase this is I think it's really interesting how consistent the locations feel in both the movie, the anime movie adaptation and the Kyoani anime series adaptation of Air.
Yeah, I feel like I can see that town very vividly in my mind.
Yeah, likewise. Which I can't really say as much about the other two in the Key Seasons trilogies.
Yeah, they're just kind of wherever.
Yeah, like the weather is more like the season is more what I remember in those, but like
so when I think about like
Planet or Kanon.
Kanon. When I think about Kanon, I think about like a grassy hill.
You might be thinking of Planet then.
No, that's the one with the fox girl in it, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. I know why you're picturing. Yeah. Because there's that whole sequence where
scene on the
there
hill.
is.
That's like the entirety of what I picture.
Yeah.
That and like, no, Planet is the one with boring like ancient Japan flashbacks, right?
No, that's Air.
Oh, that's Air.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. They're all kind of mixed up in my brain.
It's fine, yeah.
It's been a long time since I watched them.
It has.
I watched them with my mom, which is a pretty good stamp on how long...
Did you rent the DVDs from Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah.
Elias Frosner says, what's your favorite wild fake restaurant name outside of the many Denethans? How's Wander Piss Watch going? / has it been resolved?
It has. He's on
Somewhat.
wet food full time now,
Yeah.
much to his chagrin. It was causing him to shit himself for a little while, but he's used to it now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's hard to wean a cat from dry food to wet food. Like,
Yeah,
you can't
'cause
just
it's
mix
like-
them together like you can when you're switching from one dry food to
but
another.
he would just, like, not eat it then.
Yeah.
Because I have tainted his beloved dry food.
Yeah. As far as other fake restaurants, I don't really know that too many others really come to mind.
Yeah, I just think about all the McDonald's parodies.
Yeah. Apparently someone had already made a video about that.
Yeah, I gotta check that one out.
Yeah, I still need to watch it.
Thanks for asking about Wonder. He appreciates everybody's love. Rap Boy says, great videos always, but which fictional Denny would you hold a what the fuck is up Denny's show in?
Yeah, Denny's
reading
hardcore
that was
show.
hard.
Which anime Denny's would I host? Yeah. I mean, I feel like I kind of want to say Bochi because I think the idea of having to put that band in that scenario is really funny. However, I don't think that is my answer. But I also made that video really quickly, and it was just long enough ago that I kind of already don't remember a lot of them. maybe oh, you know what, actually, the Tenchi one, I think it's a Benny's. That one I think would be good because it's already exploded.
Yeah,
so it's like you get cred for playing at an abandoned. Yeah. I knew some people in the San Jose music scene, which I would visit occasionally, who once held a local DIY show in a cave with a generator. I'm so sad I wasn't there for that.
That reminds me that back in art school, so is it doxing me if I say what college I went to? I think I've said it before, so whatever. I went to college in Laguna Beach, specifically in the Laguna Canyon. And because it was a canyon, there was like a lot of like steep hills. You know, that's how canyons work. Anyway, supposedly there was a guy, actually I think I had a class with him because he always smelled kind of bad, who afforded college by sleeping in the mountains, like in a cave in the mountains he found.
America moment, honestly.
And I feel like I remember one of the teachers talking about that, like, oh, he's so strong and brave and dedicated to his work for doing that. And I was like, it's really fucked up that you're letting one of your students sleep in a cave.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't, you guys should give him a dorm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys should be doing something about that. That's, like, there are fucking wild animals out there.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Anyway. Michael Harris says, hi, Hazel and Alyssa. As a former Southern gentleman, much of the Denny's commentary you offered about the stateside restaurant mirrors my own feelings about Waffle House. The violence and hangover cure aspect. Waffle House food rules.
Yeah, it sounds like Waffle House is way better.
Yeah. I was wondering if you had any opinion on Waffle House.
I've never been.
I am pretty sure I've been. If I haven't and I'm speaking out of my ass and I went to somewhere else and I thought it was Waffle House, then I'm sorry. I also have a lot of fondness for Waffle House because one of my favorite not yet finished visual novels, A Head Well Lost, a lot of really important emotional beats take place in a Waffle House.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. It's great.
It's really good. So
yeah.
I have like a very vivid image of the backgrounds of the Waffle House that the two main characters go to.
That's great.
It's great. I fucking love that game.
Another like American family style restaurant that is prominently featured in a piece of media about a musician. The plot thickens.
I'm off to conduct my own anime Waffle House search. Also, my husband and I moved to Seattle like last June. Do you have any recommendations? Could be breakfast related or not. I don't know if I found any good breakfast places here.
Yeah. I also don't want to talk too directly about some of the restaurants we like because I don't want to get doxxed.
What is I like Ishion. We're far enough away from it that I'm comfortable recommending it. If you can go to Ishion,
right?
It's a Japanese restaurant.
Place.
It's spelled ISSIAN,
which is very strange,
dude. Like for what? How much food you get? It is really fairly priced.
Yeah, it's like an izakaya.
Yeah, it's an izakaya. So like, go with multiple people if you can.
Yeah.
Their food's fucking delicious.
They got a lot of really good vegetarian
really good.
options.
They do.
Their croquets are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Their fries are weirdly good.
Dude, their fries are lit.
They do like a wasabi mayo that I literally think is just like store-bought like wasabi paste that they mix in with their like mayo, but for some reason
it's like punchy.
It's
punchy.
It pops off.
I think it might be genuine wasabi, because the thing
genuine wasabi is really expensive. There's no way.
Yeah, that's true.
The most recent time we went,
well, maybe that's why they mix it with mayonnaise though, to dilute it.
No, because the most recent time we went, there was a little chunky, and I was like, oh, that is the exact texture of the like fake wasabi.
Fair enough. Well, whatever the fuck they're using, it's punchy.
It's good. Yeah,
it's really good. You wouldn't think, oh, I'm at an izakaya, it's time to eat fucking French fries, but their French fries are delicious.
Yeah, this is the thing that they don't tell you about being vegetarian, is that you can still be just as much of a cheeky as you were before.
Yeah,
I still like carbs more than anything else.
I love carbs. I got the chashudon last time we went. Their pork was really good. I feel like pork, and I don't eat pork that much because often pork kind of grosses me out, even though I really like it when it's good, if that makes sense. Like, mid pork is inedible to me in a way a lot of other meats aren't, but good pork is like really good.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can measure a lot about how much I like a restaurant based on like how decent their pork meal is. Like, if I go to a ramen place and I get like a tonkotsu ramen and that fucking little slice of pork is like chewy and flavorless, I'm like, fuck this place.
Yeah,
I'm never coming back here again.
There are definitely some places in Seattle that is true.
Dude, I've had a hard time finding good ramen in Seattle.
Yeah.
And no
we found
shade.
one place, and I'm gonna gatekeep it. Y'all motherfuckers, this is our place.
I don't even remember which one it is.
You know.
Oh, yes, I do know.
Yeah.
Just instantly thought about how good it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, I mean, there's already a line out it every time I see it, so I don't think it's being all that gatekept.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Yeah.
But yeah, just try stuff out. Like, Seattle's got so much to eat.
It's hard to say try stuff out when so much of it can be so expensive.
I mean, read reviews.
Like, our version of trying stuff out is going like, is there anything here that's like under $20? And then if the answer is yes, the next question is, does any of it actually sound like it's worth $17?
The real answer is that we have foodie friends who like want to drag us to places that they like did research on.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, like, one of our friends will visit or whatever and be like, I've researched this place, and this place. It sound really good. Let's go. And we're just like, okay, we've never been there either.
Yeah, not like know ahead of time. Like, that place doesn't take reservations. That place opens it. And it's like, my God.
Wow.
I'm not even this put together, and I live here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm such a creature of habit. I get my, like, 3 places I like to eat, and then I eat at those same places forever. Burnt Ramen says, wow, that's the saddest name I've ever heard. Burnt Ramen? What happened? You fucked up if you burn ramen. Says, hello, Hazel and Alyssa. Over this past year, your channel on both the Human Insects and Pod Spirit podcasts have monstrously impacted my music listening. I've discovered so many great bands and projects that I never would have otherwise. The Cabs, Cowpers, Hikipi, and Gazon, to name a few. I was just wondering if there's any particular way you went about finding new music, let alone these consistently amazing deep cuts. Hope y'all are well.
Having friends who are even bigger music perverts than me is a big part of it. That's kind of like, that's not really advice. Honestly, real talk, just start fucking clicking on shit in Spotify recommended. That's how I found Popcatcher, and they're like one of my favorite bands ever now. Also, when you find a smaller band you like, just start looking up the individual bandmates' names and see if they've been in other stuff or if they've collaborated with other artists. That was how I found BP. The guy from Boat and Natsumen did like a guitar solo on a BP song, and that was credited like on like his like Rate Your Music or Discogs or something. And I just listened to that album on a whim, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time. You kind of got to make the active effort to scope stuff out and kind of like just click on a song. You know, you don't even need to commit to the whole album. And then either Mugu or Mugo, I'm not sure, says, do you have any book recommendations for someone who loved House of Psychotic Women and wants something similar to it? I wish I did. I don't know of anything that fits that bill. Because it's such a specific book being written from such a specific perspective. But if you want other books on extreme cinema or just like genre cinema, there's a book that I have read like the first couple pages of and then like put down to do other stuff, and I need to get back to it, called Behind the Pink Curtain, which is a book about Japanese pink films, which are like a kind of sort of softcore porn, kind of sort of art house, weird subgenre of cinema that existed from like the 60s through like the early 90s-ish, depending on how you look at it. And seeing how much importance that stuff actually has on the broader Japanese film industry is super fascinating. I haven't read it, but what is it called? Hold on. I gotta look at this line really quickly so that I don't forget the title. Oh my god, where even is this book? We've got too many books. They Came From Within is the name of this book. They Came From Within. It is a book about the Canadian horror film landscape. I haven't read it, but I've owned it for a while. I think Sam Sutherland recommended it in like an old video like ages and ages ago. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I should give that a read. But yeah, neither of those are going to get you like the personal connection that makes House of Psychotic Women so special. That's as close as I can get you.
I listened to the same songs for 20 years.
I had already moved on from talking about songs.
I heard you move on. That's my contribution to that question, though. Ollie says, you've both spoken about making art purely for yourself or for art's sake, and how nice that is to have little pressure on a creative project, but also how unfortunately you felt some of your best work has come out of times of strife, where the quality of work and its reception had real life consequences. Is there a perfect middle ground, or rather, have you ever felt one? And how do you make guitars loud when you're making music in your apartment at home in Logic, Lamau?
I just do direct input. I just plug my electric guitar into my audio interface, and then what anybody else hears is as loud as the strings on your electric guitar. What you hear through your headphones is a lot louder. As far as that other part, I don't know that I necessarily said that my best work has come out at times of strife. I mean, I think in terms of like...
I think we've just said that we're productive the
right.
best when it's like been a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Like, I think working under pressure is kind of more that.
I've certainly been so more inclined to finish shit when...
Yeah, certainly.
The pressure was on.
Yeah. Do you want to take this question first while I preheat the oven and put some French fries in the oven?
Sure.
Thank you.
You know, I don't know if there is a perfect middle ground. It's hard because it's like, truthfully, I feel like an aspect of art and creation and working on projects that people don't talk about enough is how much self-discipline it can take at times. Like, people kind of associate art with just being like naturally, rawly driven to do something. And, you know, if I'm in a good stride with something, ideally I'll feel that way too. When I wrote all of Christoph Rout, which nobody read, but I just made it for myself because I wanted to. I don't know. I was like working on it every day, and it just kind of came to me without a second thought. It helped that I've been thinking about that story for several years.
You need to say what the route is from.
It was from my first dating sim project called the Duankai, and I didn't end up finishing making the game, but I just kind of wanted to finish one of the routes. and make it readable online. So I did that on impulse after thinking about it for several years, and it came very naturally, and I pumped out a lot very quickly. But that was kind of an outlier, and a lot of other times I've worked on projects, I've really had to kind of force myself to stop and focus, and I don't know. I also just kind of feel like some people are better at saying, I'm going to do this, and then sitting down and doing it than other people are. And I'm definitely not someone who is good at that. If anything, I think I just, I don't know. This is a hard question to ask, because it's like, I don't like it when my work is created under stress. It really gives me a very negative relationship to my art. And even if I finish something, usually if I finish something after a lot of stress and anxiety, it like kind of causes me like almost like a lasting mental injury. Like, I feel like after I graduated from art school, like, it took me a few years before I could like truly enjoy doing art again. I still did it, but it just like wasn't the same. It really like changed my relationship with art for the worst for a long time, and I almost felt like I needed to do like fucking like physical therapy with myself, but like emotionally, to learn how to love it again. But I don't know, everybody's different. Everyone's creation process is different. Everybody's relationship to their art and what they want to make is different. I do think like the old advice of like, oh, you know, give yourself a project that is reasonable in scope, is good advice, but you heard me just earlier say, like, I don't want to do a small comic because that's not my vision.
Right.
I'm not going to be interested in doing that if I don't get to do, like, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I can only say that so much, but I know how brains work sometimes.
Yeah. It is very difficult to have periods of time where nothing good comes out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean where it feels like you're not doing anything good, but like just times where everything you're doing, you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is just like not up to a standard that you should hold for yourself.
Yeah.
Especially like in a field like YouTube, for example, where you are kind of expected to be pretty regular. Running into those periods of time and then not having anything to show for it feels really bad. Even if you are kind of like trying to work at stuff and like trying to flex those muscles and it's not coming together. I think that it is I think it's important to kind of have a few things that you can juggle. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you'll just get really fucking sick of one thing and you'll want to start something else. And I think telling yourself no until you finish the thing you're working on can be good if you're somebody who needs to be motivated to finish something.
I'm such a like needs
if you're
to strike
someone
while
who,
the iron's hot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I am too.
Yeah.
If you find that you're more that kind of person, letting yourself just jump to the other project for a while, you know, the other one isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, with Doenkai, it was kind of hard because, like, for years and years and years, I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to finish it. And it's like, for a first visual novel, technically second, but my first one I don't really count because I made it in a week.
Yeah.
For a first big visual novel project, it was way too big in scope, and I kind of felt like buried under that. I almost kind of felt like I wasn't allowed to have any other projects in that interim. So when I finally just like was like, I'm going to write one route and put a lid on that for the foreseeable future, I felt like I had freed myself of like a fucking genie curse.
Yeah.
Like I was finally free. And it was kind of funny because as I was starting to think, like, I think I just need to put this project away for the foreseeable future. So when I started sketching out ideas for Love in a Bottle, and I kind of felt like I was cheating, you know, like cheating on my spouse.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I always said I was going to do this, and now I'm thinking about other projects. I was like, but you know what? Right now, I'm just more excited about this.
Yeah.
I want to do this right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do it.
It really sucks when creative stuff, like a creative project, not even like your relationship to the medium at large, sometimes the latter, when it feels like you're perpetually in the period after you've put in your 2 weeks notice at a shitty job, where it just feels like you're just like so close to being able to bid it farewell for a while, just to move on, but you kind of can't. But yeah, I don't feel like there's any one right answer.
Yeah.
Those are just the things that have worked for me, but even then there are a lot of contradictions therein.
Yeah. A lot of art is also just like learning what kind of artist you are and what works for you and what kind of things are conducive to your creative process.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's a very individual experience.
Yeah.
Baltax says, do you have a desert island anime? Huh? The one that... Oh, I see. The one that you would have to watch for the rest of time. Maybe 1 is too hard. Maybe 3?
I really wish... Oh, you know what I'll say? Chibi Maruko-chan.
Yeah,
it's like 1,000 episodes.
Yeah,
it's not 1,000, but there are a fuck ton of episodes.
Yeah, just cheat and pick a series.
Yeah.
I'm not picking One Piece. I can tell you all that much.
I'm not picking Detective Conan because I just don't really care that much about mysteries.
Yeah.
That kid's been a boy child for fucking 30 goddamn years at this rate. I don't think he's going to get turned back very soon.
Yeah, I'll also pick Chibi Maruko-chan.
Yeah.
Seems like a good time.
Yeah. Probably kind of like an emotionally sensitive thing to pick as your desert island anime, but that's what I'm going with.
Yeah. We cheated. We broke the question.
And they're still making more episodes of that too. So every now and again I just get airdropped like the next yeah.
This question comes from It's a Me, Mario. In the year 22, I saw a deer stand up on its hind legs and scream like a human. Mamma mia.
2002. Say the name over and over again.
Okay. Wait, what did I say?
You said in the year 22. Say it over again.
It's a Me, Mario. In the year 2002, I saw a deer stand up on its hind legs and scream like a human. Mamma mia.
There we go.
Says, this isn't a question. I just wanted to say that once I got really drunk and went to IHOP to get the Minions pancakes. For that reason, IHOP is objectively better than Denny's. I knew I couldn't expect any less from Patreon user It's a Me, Mario. In the year 2002, I saw a deer stand up on its hind legs and scream like a human. Mamma mia.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for this anecdote. I didn't know there were Minion pancakes. I wish I had had them. Ugly Girl Angel says, you've mentioned webcomics once or twice, though I sadly can't remember which one off the top of my head. Do you and Alyssa have any favorite titles? Do you think the webcomic landscape has changed since the early aughts? And also, Yamisar? Lamisar? Says, we talked about Megatokyo and Homestuck a bunch on your last Pongyas stream, but what other webcomics have left an indelible impression on you, or were popular but you bounced off of for that matter? And Elijah Sadaki says, I was watching one of the recent stream pods and you mentioned reading Homestuck together. I've been doing the same with my partner and it's honestly been super fun going through it again and showing it to them. Guess I'm just kind of curious how far into the comic y'all are. Also unrelated, but I need to say thanks for introducing me to Wild Zero and by extension Guitar Wolf, genuinely one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I was glad to see this weird, like, it was kind of a lot of webcomic questions, and I felt like they all kind of
harmony.
Yeah. So to just kind of like answer all of these in like a stew. For context, Alyssa and I are reading through Homestuck. It's my first time ever, and Alyssa's rereading it. We got to Act 4 very recently, and we're starting to get introduced to the trolls. I'm still enjoying it a lot. I don't really have much more to say about it because it is a fucking discourse landmine field. But I'm having a good time with it in isolation because I think it is fun and endearing, and it often feels like almost like the way outsider art does, where it's just so wrapped up in its own way of thinking. It's very fascinating. And also because I get to read it with my darling wife, who I love more than anything.
Yeah, and I do little voices for all the characters.
They're all so cute. Yeah, it means that I can like make food halfway through, and I can just listen, and I know who's talking, and I just need to glance over whenever I hear a click.
At long last, my high school days of doing Homestuck voice acting.
Were you in high school when...
Maybe community college.
Right, yeah.
But I went to community college at the same time as high school.
Right.
Because I was a baby
that is
genius.
True. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know anything about the modern webcomic landscape. All I remember is that a lot of the webcomic artists I was reading in the aughts pivoted to working in animation. I really liked Octopus Pie in high school. I never got caught up with it, weirdly, but I read like a good chunk of it and I enjoyed it. I don't remember basically anything about it, so I don't know if it holds up or whatever, and I don't really think it matters that much if it does or not. I liked Akewood. I wasn't really consistent with it because that comic's been running since like 2002. There's no way I was going to read all of that shit. What were some other ones?
I read a lot of webcomics because I always had my eyes on doing one myself, but I'm hard-pressed to think of what I read. I mean, I'm not familiar with what webcomics look like now. I assume a lot of it is just posted on Twitter or Webtoons. Yeah. I have read a good several Webtoons, and can I just say, like, my God, never before have I felt the pipeline crunch quite as profoundly as I do when I read a webcomic and I see like just an entire ass like 3D asset pasted in for the shoes. Like, holy shit, dude. Not to say that there isn't great talent in Webtoons, but man, there is some fucking crusty ass shit happening there. It's almost kind of fascinating. When I was a kid, I read a lot of Sprite comics, like especially
did I.
Sonic Sprite comics I was really big into.
I don't remember the names of any of them, but...
I read one called Insomnia. I don't know if it's still online, and it probably has not aged well, but I don't care. I read it all the time.
Yeah.
I would go through the archives on the Mushroom Kingdom and read just like any old Sprite comics that people submitted. Like, I didn't care. I just wanted to read them. I think that I don't know how to talk about like internet in a way where it doesn't just sound like old internet good, new internet bad, so I'm not gonna do that, but I do have a lot of nostalgia for reading comics as a kid. Favorite titles, fuck, why do I feel like I can't think of any?
I don't know that I really have any webcomics that I can point to as a favorite. I'm
sure it's gonna come to me in like an hour and then I'll be like, fuck.
I mean, a lot of the ones that I was reading, like, I think I was reading because I thought I had to, you know? Like, man, can I just say, Penny Arcade has never been good. Penny Arcade has always been cringe.
A lot of the stereotypical, like, gamer webcomics I didn't read. Like, Mega Tokyo is the closest I came, and it's because I thought his art was cool.
Yeah.
Watch
I think the stream is called Drinking and Driving. If you want to hear more of our thoughts on both Mega Tokyo and Homestuck somehow. that stream got really unhinged.
Yeah, like maybe too unhinged. Maybe don't watch it. Yeah, I'm completely blanking on what webcomics I read.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it, but there was this one DeviantArt artist I became like mutual followings with back in the day, and she had like her own website for her webcomic, and all I remember is that the main character was like a cute anime purple-haired girl, and I really liked her art style. I think she was maybe Mexican, like I don't think she was American. And I would comment on her like little shout box all the time to like let her know what I thought of the updates. And I was always excited when she replied to me, because in my mind she was like way out of my league artistically. Like I was like, oh, she's so much better at art than me. Like I really aspire to be as good as she is. And then she introduced a yaoi pairing in her comic, and I was scared my mom would ban me from reading it because it had it had gay boys in it, so I had to stop reading.
So sad.
And one day I went back to check her website just because I missed it, and I saw her comments in the shout box like, where did my old username go? I miss her so much. It made me so sad.
This is why homophobia is wrong.
In that moment, she and I were the two little girls who meet at the beach and write
each other's names in the sand
and say, we'll always be friends forever.
No, this was literally your Chibi Maruko-chan my favorite song moment.
Yeah.
This is literally your it's just a greasy spoon moment. Anyway, webcomics.
Yeah, webcomics. I don't even remember what her webcomic was about. I just liked her art.
I wonder if anyone in the comments of this will know.
If someone is able to figure that out, I'm
yeah,
gonna
just based
freak
on that.
out.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucked up.
It's got a purple girl and some yaoi on the side. Okay. Shane says, Dear Hazel and Alyssa, do you even hoist? What are your favorite lifts/exercises? Are you too much of a gay nerd to lift? Love, Shane.
Absolutely. We were just talking last night with your sibling. Like, neither of us have ever been able to stick to an exercise routine.
I hate exercise routines. I have my entire life, no matter how motivated I've felt to try to maintain one, I always fall off of it.
Yeah. I at least have the benefit of walking a far distance in order to get groceries.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's something, right?
Every now and then I go back to try lifting like 10-pound weights every day.
Yeah.
I don't do it like super frequently, but I try to do it when it occurs to me. Nokia says, Hey Hazel and Alyssa, has there ever been a piece of media that made you feel like you weren't quite equipped to handle it fully? Not because it dealt with uncomfortable topics, but in the way that you slowly realized the scale of it and it just became a little too much.
I have that a lot where I'm enjoying something in the early chapters, like a manga, and then they introduce like a new batch of characters, and I'm like, I don't think I have it in me to get invested in these ones.
I get that a lot, like when a whole bunch of new characters are found, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I liked what we had already. I don't want to meet all these new people.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I've experienced that before with stuff too, where it was like, yeah, like I liked the smaller scope of like the early chapters or episodes or whatever, and then they like introduce a new like bigger conflict, and I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this. I can't think of specific examples because probably obviously whatever it was I didn't finish it, but yeah. Kind of a non-answer, sorry.
No, I think we gave a good answer.
Well, I couldn't think of anything
in the
specific,
sense that I
though.
guarantee there are going to be a billion people in the comments. Not a billion. I'm not trying to fucking like there will a few people listening will be like, oh my god, I've always felt this way. Mm-hmm. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm. Male Tears says, hello friends. I know y'all didn't have the best opinions of Sonic Frontiers.
Did we not?
But are you interested in checking out the DLC? There's going to be 4 installments and they're free. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to play the DLC. I feel like our opinions on Frontiers were fairly positive. Like, I only played the first island, but I 100%ed it, and I enjoyed it. And I intend to go back and play that game. I've just kind of, like, not been in a video game playing headspace lately. I'm sure I'll enjoy it when I finish it. I loved the music. I loved the stages for the most part. I liked the writing a lot for the most part. I'm sure the DLC is gonna be a great time. I just feel like it's weird because I didn't know what I wanted from Frontiers because I didn't really know what to expect. But I still kind of had, like, a knee-jerk emotion of, this isn't what I wanted, though.
Yeah.
When I played it.
Yeah.
And I think once I get past that a little more, I'll enjoy it even more.
I think from watching you play, I felt like I kind of saw through the Matrix and saw what the rest of the game would be like.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
kind of felt that way completing the first island. Like, after 100%ing it, I was like, I kind of feel like the other islands are just going to be more of this.
Yeah.
And I, like, enjoyed this, but I don't really feel like doing it more.
When I eventually play it in, like, fucking 10 years from now, when the Hazel Armuda Sonic streams are reaching their close, I do not plan to do more than is asked of me.
I mean, I definitely think I could have spent way less time in that first area than I did. But, you know, it just compelled me to finish it. Yeah. Which stuff very rarely does. So, yeah. I mean, I felt pretty good about it. I just need to get the motivation to go back to it. Atlas says, I've been binging Trigun as of late, since it's something I have seen around online growing up but never really got into. Fortunately, though, I haven't been able to watch the reboot Trigun Stampede because I'm just not a fan of some of the character redesigns and it's putting me off majorly. As petty as that may sound.
Yeah, so Coffee was telling me about this. They got rid of Millie.
What?
Who's like the really tall girl, and they made Meryl like a child. And I'm just like, man,
where are
fuck
the women?
This. Yeah, I don't fucking give. Like,
where are the women?
Shit out of here. Those two were the heart and soul of that original show, IMHO. So I'm like, that killed my interest completely.
I do find the modern Vash, or whatever his name is, like, cute, but there's kind of that knee-jerk feeling. Like, it's the way I feel when I see modern Ryoko, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of looks like her, but it's missing that 90s swag. Yeah. Like, they're too cowardly to go with the stupid idiot spiky hair. Like,
right.
They were too cowardly. They yassified Vash. Have you guys been watching the Trigun reboot? Do you have any thoughts about Trigun as a whole? What are your most / least favorite character redesigns from the series? Much love from Scotland. P.S. I love that you guys record these in silence because choosing my own music to overlay in the background is so smart. That's extremely smart. And then Slayer also said, since you mentioned Trigun back in your summer vacation video, I've been curious if you have any more detailed thoughts on the series. Have you seen Stampede or read the manga / Trigun Maximum? I'd love to hear how you feel about either of those versions.
I had the first volume of the manga, or maybe it was Maximum. I don't really remember, but I remember it kind of dropped me in, like, in media res, and I remember thinking, like, I don't really get what's going on, so I think I'm going to not read more of this. And then I never did, and then I think I watched some of the anime when I was, like, a little bit older, like maybe right around the time I watched Great Teacher Onizuka, which I think I was like 15. But I didn't finish it, and then I watched it when I was taking that hiatus while we were moving. I didn't finish it then either, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I like what I've seen. It's a good time.
It's always been in my periphery, but I've never actually watched it.
Yeah, I don't really feel like it's something that I feel that compelled to finish, but not because it's bad.
I'm struggling to find, like, a side-by-side of all the characters and their redesigns.
Yeah, I mean, all I can tell you is that I don't like what they did with Meryl, and I don't like that there's no Millie.
Oh.
I know, yeah,
Meryl was so cute before.
I know, and then they just gave her, like, fucking, like, baby child face.
She's cool. Why did they...
Women aren't allowed to be cool anymore. That's not true. That's not even true. We're living in a fucking utopia of cool anime women. Really? Shouldn't have anything to.
Oh, why did they axe her? I love her design.
I know. Millie is so cute. These two are so cute.
I love her.
Their whole dynamic
She's
too
so
is
tall.
that, like, Millie is just like the dumb one who's constantly hiding behind Meryl. Yeah. They're just like us.
I was gonna say, every time I've seen clips of these two, they seem very Mihoshi and Kione.
Yeah, definitely.
I know it's probably just her outfit, but I'm also fucking in love with how wide Millie looks.
I know, she's great.
It's great.
I love her.
Wow, fuck Stampede. How dare you get rid of her? Fucking coward, idiot, bitch idiots. Okay, anyway. Shane Preeb says, I love that the last few videos have just ended without some conclusion when there doesn't really need one. Do you feel there's a specific time when a conclusion is warranted?
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't think it's like a dumb goof around video about Denny's. Like, you know, there's like a thing that certain video essays feel required to do, where it's like it'll be about like fucking like some like ridiculous like Super Mario butthole technique. And it'll be like,
all in all, the history of the Mario butthole technique has been an inspirational...
It's
like they feel the need to, like, school essay close it out.
Exactly,
and it's like, you don't really need to.
Yeah.
Wonder, stop it. Mommy is busy.
Yeah. You kind of just, like, know what's going to happen when it's like, what even is there to say about Super Mario Butthole?
I feel like sometimes when I hear a video gearing up to be about to do that, I'll just close the video, which I know is bad of me, but I'm like, I know you're just going to, like, recap what we just learned.
Yeah.
And not, like, contribute anything.
Well, I'm even saying that about, like, an intro.
Oh,
now
yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, at the end of a video, when they, like, start to do that, like... So, all in all, the Mario butthole technique is...
We can
learn a lot.
Now we know that it started with this, and then it became this.
Wait, what did... Our friend just sent me a photo, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at here. Oh, there's Star Trek doujinshi on the shelves. Holy shit.
A friend of ours is in Japan right now. I know, like, so many people I either know or follow or have been visiting Japan around now, and I'm so jealous. I want to go so bad. Big Marsh asks, but to answer the other part of that question, there's kind of like a big conclusion to the video I'm working on right now. You'll see when it's out. It's nothing huge, but I certainly don't want to give the impression that I'm just, like, finished, like making videos that flow to a natural end, you know? Because, like, the thing about having, like, a hard stop ending is that if you do it every time, it kind of stops being funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm so fucking jealous.
I know, me too.
I want to buy Spurk doujinshi in Japan too. Anyway, I shouldn't complain about this to your Patreon patrons. They're doing the most.
They are.
Wander, stop it. Mommy is recording. Go away. Big Marsh says, I was wondering if you could talk a bit about your research process for your videos. I've always been impressed with the amount of research you can do in just a month's worth of time. I've never understood how you manage to give time to all the different pieces you talk about, especially with something like anime that has a defined length, and yet still have time for scripting and editing. Do you take notes as you watch each piece? Do you know exactly what you're looking for when you go in, or do you just note down any interesting points that could be made into videos later? Have you found this process has changed now that you don't upload monthly?
So
I've always kind of wondered how you take notes too. Like, do you watch stuff with the preconceived notion, like, I might want to make a video about this, but I'm not sure?
It depends.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kind of annoying answer to this is that to each one of those individual smaller questions is that it depends. Mm-hmm. Like when I did the Aiken video, like, I knew that there was an interesting story there. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what I did initially was kind of gathering the things that I knew I was going to want to look for in the series itself, or in the OVA rather. But as far as, like, when I watch something and I realize I want to do a video on it, usually I think about it in terms of, like, I'm not going to do, like, a whole video on this, but I know that this is kind of speaking to a broader thing that I like, that I can fit into, kind of like the Anime Countryside video I did, where it's, like, a lot of smaller segments about a bunch of different anime that I liked. And, you know, doing that one, I know it looked like I talked about a lot of shows. I think all of them, but, like, Arakawa, I watched in their entirety for that video. But the way that I was kind of able to think about it, or, you know, like Eurocamp and No Non Biore, I just watched the first season of. If an anime is like 13 episodes, that's like 4.5 hours of anime, sometimes 5. kind of not that hard for me to just watch that in one sitting if it's for research, because that becomes the bottleneck for being able to work on more of the videos. It's like, I'm just going to do it in one sitting, get it out of the way and move on. And then, there have only been a few times where I have watched something, decided later that I want to actually include it in a video, and then felt compelled to actually rewatch the entire thing so that I can be an attentive note taker. Usually just skimming through something I've already seen is enough to kind of jog my memory. But yeah, I mean, the thing about my note taking, I've mentioned this before, is like my finished notes are kind of my first draft. I know I used the term first draft earlier. This video I'm working on is kind of a different case because it's gone through a lot of iterations. I'm currently like actually writing and not just still reorganizing notes, but yeah. I take like annoyingly thorough notes because I don't know what I'm going to wind up talking about. And recently, in order to make editing go by faster, I've been timestamping, or not timestamping, but like episode marking, like what episode I observe certain things in, so that I can know like, okay, there was some kind of footage in here that made me have this thought, and I can use this footage here. So that's kind of something that helps speed things up. And then when it comes to editing, that's like the one part of working on a video that I can usually do like sun up to sundown. I kind of need to take breaks and work on other stuff or shift focus to different parts of research and yada, yada, yada for certain videos. Or also just kind of makes me start to feel kind of like stir crazy. But yeah, that's that generally. As far as how the process has changed, now that I don't upload monthly, I just have more leeway to work on different projects simultaneously. I wouldn't be surprised if like the entire first half of my uploads for this year were videos that I conceived, but really only vaguely started to draft in the late 2022 era, or like very early into 2023, which you'll see more about that eventually. But yeah, next up, Eddie Yoshi asks, with all the well-received remakes coming out recently, Dead Space, RE4, Metroid Prime, what is a game that you wish would be remade, either faithfully like Prime or Dead Space, where it's the same game but just looks better, or reimagining like Final Fantasy VII Remake or Resident Evil 2? I'm kind of annoying, and I'll
just play the old games.
Yeah, I'm happy to just play the old stuff.
Sometimes the crust is part of the enjoyment for me.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I'm kind of weirdly adverse to like experiencing things twice, so like, I'm not really super interested in the RE4 remake.
I've been enjoying it.
I fully believe that it's good. I'm just not super like eager to jump on it. Like, I haven't even finished RE4 still.
I've just been watching Jerma and Denny play it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's been since like high school since I've seen RE4.
Right.
So like,
I always forget that you even experienced it to begin with.
I think Christina was really into it, and she got me to like watch a Let's Play of it. Or maybe I watched her. I think I watched her play. Yeah, because I remember laughing at her throwing eggs at things.
Right.
But I feel like they did Ashley a lot of justice in this remake. I think her dialogue is better, and her conversations with Leon are better, and the roles she gets to serve are better. But it's been a long time since I've seen the old games, so for all I know, it's like exactly the same, and I just forgot. But just my overall impression of her is like much, much better this time around, of like, oh, you're so cute. Yeah, leave it to me to watch a zombie horror shooter action
before
game,
I do.
and then be like, I like the girl in it a lot.
Right, yeah. Idiot. I mean, same. I'm the same way. I always just like the girl the most.
But remakes. I always said I wanted a Sunshine, like, HD re-release, and now I'm kind of like, nah, I don't really want it. It's fine as it is. My golden calf, or what do you call it? My white whale. Why did I... Golden calf is, like, for, like, false idols. My white whale would be, like, a really faithful but HD, like, tightened up SA2.
Right.
But
yeah.
I just feel like they would change that. I mean, first of all, the voice cast would be different, obviously.
Right.
So that's already a negative for me because I like the original voice actors in Sonic Adventure 2 so much. But I don't know. Yeah, that'll never happen the way I want, so I don't want it to happen. But if it could be done perfectly, I would want it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always a little bit annoying when it comes to remakes.
I'm trying to think. Like, I feel... More than a remake, I still want a Billy Hatcher sequel. Because that's always a franchise that I felt like had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Like, that game is really fun, and when it's not fun, it's because of things that are unintentional, usually. Like, controls being kind of finicky or...
I feel like when Billy Hatcher is not fun, it's because there's a peak disconnect between the level design and the mechanics.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think if they made a new one that had kind of better level design and tighter controls, it would be a really fun experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always kind of the mindset that I prefer sequels over remakes. Like, I would love a new Knights game. I don't really feel any need to see Knights remade again. I would love to see a new Banjo-Kazooie. I would even be interested in seeing, like, Tooie remade, because I know that game has really severe frame rate issues. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of getting sleepy, so I'm just saying shit.
It's okay.
Nolan Gang says, Hi, Hazel. So I recently got around to watching the entirety of your Elfen Lied video. Noticed you spent some extra time establishing the conventions of your essay format, as well as your intentions in talking about Elfen Lied. In contrast, I've noticed in more recent videos you breeze through these formalities, not so much in a careless way, but more so in a way that irradiates confidence and an awareness of the audience you pull in. I'm curious about what you've been able to learn along the way since your Elfen Lied video that's allowed you to evolve, allowed your style to evolve into what it is now, i.e. personal revelations, feedback, inspiration. Also, have you ever seen an anime Arby's or Burger King?
No.
Definitely not Arby's. I feel like maybe I've seen Burger King parodies in anime before, but I definitely couldn't tell you where I've seen it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google search anime Burger Kings right now and see.
Yeah.
Why am I pluralizing it?
Burgers King?
No, I was saying Burger King.
No, I know. Yeah, so I mean that video was basically me kind of laying out the Elfen Lied video. I mean, it kind of was like I hadn't made a video in so long. Wow, that is not what I expected.
Who's this character again? I know her face. I just don't remember what
Saber?
the fuck. Yeah, Saber. Saber eating at Burger King's with a little crown on her head. It's
you
very
pluralized
cute.
it again.
I don't know why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And it says Burger King on her drink.
That's very good.
It's pretty funny. It's just fan art. Some like sexy fan art of the Burger King himself. Smash or pass?
Pass.
Oh, okay. Sorry, what were you saying? Here's another picture of Saber eating Burger King.
I like that one. Yeah, so that I hadn't made a video in like years and years and years and years.
Sorry. I just saw the Joker, but as like McDonald's flavor Joker.
It was funnier in context.
Yeah.
You had to be there.
The Joker just makes me laugh. I don't know why.
I hadn't made a video in a really long time, and I had felt my perspective shift so drastically since the last time that I had made one. So I kind of felt like, I think you see this with, like, music a lot, where, like, an album is like somebody, or like an artist or a musician, or an artist or a band kind of, like, almost like creating like a statement of intent, moving forward. And I kind of felt like that was that for me. I experienced a lot more life and a lot more stuff that was informing my tastes in different ways, shifting away from being interested in reading and things that were too heavily steeped in academia. And it just felt like it was the time for me to kind of like lay all my cards on the table. And I feel like I haven't really had the need to do that because things haven't really changed that much from that standpoint. And I also think that what I've observed, whenever I upload a YouTube video, there's always one thing where I'm like, okay, I need to trust the audience a little more with this, and I need to trust them a little less with this. And then I make adjustments moving forward.
Well, it's so hard because I see you get comments to the contrary on both ends.
Right.
Like, oh, look at this fucking newbie talking about insert really niche anime thing as if we don't know what that is. And then someone saying like, I don't know what Sakuga is. Can you please explain that next time?
Yeah.
Like people who clearly are not deep into it and people who are way deep into it. And I see comments from both sides, either like, oh, you're too basic, or you need to stop assuming I know what this is. And it's like really hard to find a middle ground between those two different groups without either over-explaining shit to an exhausting degree or like assuming way too much about what your audience knows.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to kind of make a concession to just explain the things that are really important to know, and then hope that your audience can kind of guesstimate the rest.
Yeah. I think when you do this kind of thing long enough, you get good at summarizing large concepts in a single sentence where you have to, you know. You know, like you kind of get good at knowing how to spark notes things, more or less. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of mostly it, is just that, you know, I see that people react positively when I disregard an outro to a video, or when I shift topics to do something very radically different partway through. And those are kind of tests for me to gauge if they actually work. Rather than saying, hey, I'm going to try to do this now. You know, I just kind of do it and see how it goes. And people have generally been receptive, so it's what I continue to lean into. Yeah. It's nice to feel like people see my current stuff as more confident. Because simultaneously I feel like that's true, and I also feel much more unconfident because I've hit like the deepest part of the not the Dunning-Kruger effect, but it's like I've reached the part in that curve where I know how much I don't know to the most profound degree, and I'm sort of desperately crawling myself out of that, and it feels very infinitely vast. And sometimes that can feel very overwhelming. But I do my best. I think if nothing else, stylistically, I feel more confident than ever.
Rightfully so.
Thanks.
You're good at what you do.
Thanks.
Meow Meow Island says, hey, I know this is more of a comment than a question, but I just wanted to tell you that your Flatwoods Monster video kickstarted a little bit of a Flatwoods Monster obsession for me. Culminating in my most recent birthday, where my entire immediate family, most of my friends, bought me just so very much Flatwoods Monster merch. My younger sister even made a Flatwoods Monster themed cake. Aww, it's so cute. So like, thanks for making me the Flatwoods Monster girl in the eyes of all my loved ones. Also, for an actual question, have you read any good manga lately? That's really adorable.
That's very cute.
I love that.
Kind of not really. I kind of haven't really been reading a lot of manga that's really been, like, gripping me.
I've been slowly chipping through that Old Woman Yuri, and I feel really bad that I forgot what the title was.
Oh, Hana Monogatari?
No, Hana something.
I'm pretty sure.
Is it Hana Monogatari? Let me see.
I'm
gonna search Old Woman Yuri.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I've been reading has kind of been, like... stuff I feel like I've already talked about.
Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot. It is just Hana Monogatari. I was like, that seems too simple.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I just kind of, I go through moods with certain mediums where I'm more interested in them sometimes and less interested in others. So I haven't really been in a manga phase recently.
I'm in a nothing phase. I'm in my flop era.
No, I mean, you're in your working on stuff phase.
That's true. I have
kind
been
of
working a
form
lot
of that in and of itself.
Yeah. Olshay says, hello, I have a long and a short question. 1, what's your favorite piece of Jim Henson media? Between the Muppet films, shows like Fraggle Rock, and the darker one-offs like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, which one resonates with you the most? 2, since he's basically a living Muppet, how's Wonder doing?
He's good. He's looking at us kind of disdainfully because we won't let him sit on our lap or give him attention or whatever it is he's demanding.
Yeah, he wants to sit with me really badly.
I'm not really
right
much of a Jim Henson head, but I liked Labyrinth when we watched it recently.
I love Labyrinth.
I like the YouTube poop basically just as much.
I have a weird relationship to Jim Henson's stuff because I never really liked it as a kid. I think I found it, like, kind of creepy. As an adult, I have a huge amount of appreciation.
Oh, God damn it.
Huh? Oh, did you burn it?
Some of them.
Oh, no.
It's okay.
I have a huge amount of appreciation for, like, that craft and what he did with it and how unique it is. And that there's kind of nothing else quite like what Jim Henson has created.
Wait, hold on. Your real answer is going to be the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Yeah, the Jim Henson Company is working on the animatronics for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So when that comes out in October this year, we just got the date for it, and I'm so excited. That'll be my favorite. But no, yeah, like, it's a weird thing where it's like Jim Henson stuff has never particularly, like, drawn me in, but I really enjoy and appreciate it on a surface level and on an artistic level. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, I feel warmness in my heart when I see the Muppets, but I don't like, I don't see the Muppets and I'm like, yeah, I, like, need a plush.
Well, you know what's really funny about
one of these guys
is that I think the next question kind of expounds upon what you're saying there.
Booger says, growing up or now, have you ever pushed yourself to watch or love an anime out of, the best way I can put it is the media consumption equivalent of eating vegetables and taking your vitamins? That's the best way I can describe the experience of watching Nazca for the first time at age 12/13 after living on Kiki and TV basics like Sailor Moon, DBZ, and Pokemon. I remember throwing myself into the world of Nazca and rewatching it alone all the time because I felt like I was exploring something that would make me a smarter or better person somehow. Because of the environmentalist themes and artistic and historical merit of it in terms of anime, I guess. I loved it wholeheartedly and I still do, but I remember thinking of it almost as a moral good that I was spending time picking apart Nazca over my easier enjoyments of the time, like Naruto. Not sure where I'm going with this exactly, but I'm curious if you or Alyssa can relate to that specific vibe of I am a good preteen for enjoying this complex anime, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I still feel that. I don't know if I ever talked about it outright, but like a lot of the time
I felt that way watching Hunter x Hunter. Sorry, I needed to get that out.
That makes sense, yeah. A lot of the time I spend doing like watching stuff that isn't for specific videos research, but is just kind of more generally for my own edification. There are times where it almost feels a little painful isn't the right word because that makes it sound really dramatic, but like there's this kind of like acknowledgement that like if I didn't have this channel or if I didn't feel like I needed to edify myself in this particular way, probably just be rewatching Azumanga
Yeah, I mean, in your case, it actually is, like, really important for you to, like, be up on your historical manga and stuff that had a big impact on other stuff.
Yeah, but there's some stuff that I just can't do. Like, sometimes I stumble into my favorite shit from that, you know? Like, I loved every fucking second of watching 0079, like, the original Gundam series. Absolutely adored it. And then I tried watching Zeta, and I just bounced off of it really hard. I got halfway through it, and I just couldn't really do it anymore. I tried watching fucking Macross via Robotech. I just couldn't do it. It just wasn't grabbing me. Because it's like all of those things are out of my wheelhouse, you know? Yeah. Same goes for, like... I don't know. Like, there's just other stuff where it's like, I feel like I can get the gist from this without needing to really sit through it.
Watching Hunter x Hunter felt like I was being called for jury duty all my life, and I kept dodging jury duty. And the more times I got called for jury duty, the more I resented the idea of it. And then when I finally went in, it was like a pretty fun case, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I've done my jury duty. Which sounds more negative than I mean it. But my god, I did not want to fucking watch Hunter x Hunter. Everyone was so goddamn annoying about it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh yeah, I see why people like this so much. Yeah. I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. So yeah, that was definitely my eating my vegetables anime. I feel like just like other stuff, kind of like, I think I watched maybe the first episode of Cowboy Bebop.
I've still never made it through more than a few episodes of Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, I just don't care.
I just like Michiko and Hachin.
Yeah.
Anything I could ever want out of Cowboy Bebop, I like more Michiko. I always have to like make sure I'm saying it right. Michiko and Hachin.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, I did find out recently that Ed was based on Yoko Kanno. I might be misremembering, but I heard that Ed was kind of partially based on her personality, which I think is really cute if true. Somebody else fact check that for me, though, because I don't know if that's actually true.
I feel like... Yeah, just watching anything that's, like, really popular or hyped kind of feels that way to me because I'm such a contrarian, and the more you tell me to do something, the less I want to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It was really funny that the only time in my life I've watched Naruto was in college, watching a few episodes of it with you and Dominic. And I don't feel like I retained any of it, but it was fun watching it in the background.
Yeah. I was at the time trying to rewatch it, and I very quickly came to the conclusion that it is unwatchable as something that I'm putting my full attention into.
My beloved mutual is really obsessed with Obitsu right now, and I love her so much, but every time she tweets, guys, I swear Naruto is so good, you all have to watch it. I'm like, I love you so much, I'm not gonna do that.
See, this is the thing. I have, like, the fucking infinity swag of getting into manga at a time where, like, fucking the Viz Shonen Jump line dominated the shelves. Because every fucking time someone is like, Hazel, what do you mean? You're not, what do you mean you haven't read all of One Piece? What do you mean you've gotta watch, let's watch it together. I can just say, I read the first 10 volumes as a teenager, and I fell off it, and I'm not trying to get back on it. I did my time.
I did my time.
It's just not for me, and that's fine. It's for you. Just let it be for you. It doesn't have to also be for me.
I think that's the thing that drives... Because when people say shit like... I'm sorry, I keep bringing this up. It's just on my brain now because I only have enough memory space for, like, a certain amount of things to be loaded in at one time. When people say, I tried so many times to watch or read Homestuck,
right,
and I just couldn't enjoy it, I'm like... That means it's probably not for you.
Yeah, like, that's fine.
If you don't enjoy it from Act 1, you're probably not going to like it.
Yeah, I saw somebody recently saying about Fully Coolly, like, oh yeah, I need to rewatch it because I just didn't like it the first time. And it's like...
I haven't liked it any time I've rewatched it.
You don't really need to. You really don't need to...
You don't have to exposure therapy yourself. Yeah. There's lots of stuff out there to watch and read.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that fills the same niche.
Although I also...
that you'd probably like...
Not in the eating your vegetables kind of way, but I totally get it when there's, like, something you're like, I just feel like I'm gonna see something in it.
Right.
Like I just gotta try again.
That was me with Mahoro.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
I was like, I growing up, I was never able to get past like the first episode.
Like, this looks so cute. I can't believe you had such a hard time watching this. I bet now that you're older, like whatever was stupid about it is not gonna bug you as much.
Because I was like, I know it's like got a bunch of dumb fan service, but I think that kind of thing is fun now.
But something about it, like when we watched it, I was like, I completely see why you kept falling off of this.
The something about it was that there were like, I mean, I don't even want to say it because it's like kind of like too much to just like drop in the middle of this, but like, let's just say that we had to turn it off midway through like the second or third episode. It was unwatchable. Like the idea that fucking Yamaga was like hesitant to do Gunbuster because he didn't want to be associated with an anime about a bunch of young girls piloting robots. And like fucking like
did Maharomatic.
Yeah, he went on to direct Maharomatic, and like sure, it's based on a manga, but like, what happened there? I mean, I know the answer is money. They needed money, but like, good fucking god.
It's really funny too because we are solidly not alone in this experience. Like I've seen like completely unrelated to us and just like totally different spheres, people talking about trying to push their way through Maharomatic and not succeeding.
Because people I genuinely think what it is, and listen, I don't know, maybe it does go somewhere in the later seasons. I think people see Anna's name attached to it. Because he did the opening. He directed the opening sequence, and that's
like,
it.
Oh, Anno,
and they're
gotta
like,
be good.
It's gotta get psychological at the end.
Yeah. No. And it's funny because I'm like, it's not even like that noxious. Like, it's not like...
I don't know. Did you forget some of the shit that went on in that episode?
Maybe. I feel like my mind has already started putting my memories of Maharomatic
skip ahead
trash.
like 15, 20 seconds if you're particularly sensitive to a particular brand of horny anime nonsense. There were multiple extended like sex fantasy sequences between the 14-year-old protagonist and like his teacher,
right?
And then like
I forgot.
And like by the second episode, like Mahoro is already like, I'm like your mom, and then he's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed to see you naked. Whoa, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I forgot.
Anime's dumb. I see that shit and I'm like, man, no wonder people think that anime is just bad.
Completely forgot about the teacher already. Like, my mind has already put that in the recycling bin and hit empty all.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, it was... And you know, I've watched anime that has like a similar genre of stupid, trashy, like, I don't know, like Teen Boy... I mean, Urusei Yatsura has that in spades.
But the difference is that episode of Maharomatic had nothing else. Yeah. It was exclusively that.
Well, right. And also Urusei Yatsura doesn't have extended fantasy sequences of the boys having sex with said adult teacher.
Right, exactly.
Which is like, dude, we're basically just watching this happen, even if it's just in his imagination. Yeah. Like, this is too much. Yeah, I don't know. It was hard to watch, and the main girl, like, didn't even seem that interesting or cute. It's just like, hey, it's like having a mommy you can potentially fuck.
That to me feels like the kind of like the early era of the maid boom, where like, I don't know, like, it's like they were trying to make the subtext with Multi from Two Heart text, and they just fucked it up really bad. They just completely missed the fucking point. Anyway, green vegetables.
Brown bricks.
Brown bricks in Minecraft.
Glass Shark says, you've mentioned while talking about Lotus War that you're not into traditional fantasy, so I'm assuming that D&D is a no, but have you ever tried any other TTRPGs? If so, which ones?
Not really. I never really connected with them when I did. This is like a really stupid way to think about art and to think about experiences, but I always think, like, why would I be engaging with this story when I could be engaging with something that's like already authored, that has like kind of like more inherent benefit to what I do built in, you know.
I have a funny relationship to
I also just kind of think like, I don't know, I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna say I'm antisocial, but like I need my social interactions to be on my own terms, and like having to either wrangle or be wrangled into a campaign on like a schedule is just like not for me.
It also feels like jury duty.
Yeah.
I have a weird relationship to TTRPGs because I love the idea of collaborative storytelling, and I've always kind of had this feeling about like D&D and such, that it kind of feels like a weird coding on making playing pretend with your adult friends like socially acceptable. And that coding is just kind of like yucky to me. And I wish that I didn't have to eat the playing pretend with my friends in the form of the it's socially acceptable for adults pill form. Right. If that makes sense. Like, I totally get it. And I guarantee, like, even if all my friends, like, poofed into my room right now and were like, hi, we're all suddenly really cool with the idea of just, like, fucking playing with, like, dolls and making up stories with you, let's do it. I would still be like,
You feel too much like regression.
I'm kind of embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's not a regression thing for me. I think it's just
no. I'm not saying. I'm saying that like I think that's kind of the fear that it will feel too much like that.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, just like all the structurization of that imaginative format is anti-conducive to the way I like to think about that kind of thing. I don't know.
It's an us thing.
Yeah. TTRPGs and D&D are just kind of like incompatible with Hazel and I's personalities.
Yeah.
I also cannot stand being wrangled every week for meeting up with people. Like, I have a really long social refractory period. So, sad to say, I've tried to be in many an RPG group and have fallen off after like 2 sessions every single time. Toby Ray Serrana says, hi Hazel and Alyssa, do you have any interest in 2000s internet animation like Homestar Runner or Newgrounds?
I wasn't a huge Newgrounds head as a child because I was worried my parents would get mad if they found out I was watching cartoons with swears in them on the computer.
I just watched whatever got reposted to YouTube and wasn't offensive.
So I was a huge Homestar Runner fan.
Mm-hmm. Did we talk about this on one of your streams?
Probably.
Homestar Runner?
Yeah. I don't really feel like I have that much to say about Homestar.
Well, I was just going to say Homestar Runner was like a strange tenet of my childhood because it's like, as a bunch of homeschooled nerdy kids on the internet, we wanted to be able to engage with that type of like indie animation content, but because so much of it was like quote unquote like too offensive for our child sensibilities, our Christian homeschooled child sensibilities. Homestar Runner was extremely appealing because it kind of had that like edge to it without the offensiveness.
Yeah.
So even though on its surface I at first kind of thought it was stupid, I forced myself to get into it anyway because I was like, I can have this though, so I need to. And then I did just actually like enjoy it, and like me and all my stupid little friends quoted at each other all the time.
I remember in 7th grade, I saw a kid wearing an A Steve shirt, and every single time I saw him wear it, I wanted to shout it out and be like, "Whoa, that's cool!" But I knew he was a year older than me, and I thought he would laugh at me.
Get bullied.
Yeah.
Get bullied, you fucking nerd.
Yeah.
I think I also talked about this on stream, but I was really into Legendary Frog. He did like a bunch of flash animations.
The Darude Sandstorm.
Yeah. That's my lasting memory of his shit. TK says, 1, you both
Wait, hold on. There's a bunch of other... I was really into Ed's World. I found out about Ed's World because I knew a guy in 7th grade, a different kid in 7th grade, who lied and insisted that he was the creator of Ed's World. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm going to look it up. And then I was like, this guy is British. I've been lied to. So yeah, I was really into that when that was a thing. I never watched any of the reboot stuff or like the posthumous stuff. I think it's cool that stuff is happening for the people who are excited about that, but definitely kind of like outside of my pay grade. But those like early ones I really liked. Gosh, I feel like there's like more like YouTube animation stuff that I'm thinking of right now, but like, you know,
The Pokemon animation.
right? Yeah, the Pokemon Flash parody. Y'all know the one. The Naruto fan flashes.
I didn't watch those.
That's fine. Anyway.
TK says, 1, you both seem to be foodies. And I was wondering, of all the chefs in anime, whose food would you most want to have? 2, Hazel, would you ever do a deep dive on the Clamp team? They seem like a fascinating group that has had a lot of effect on anime and manga, both in Japan and the US for almost 40 years. I feel like your perspective on them could be really interesting.
I love a lot of Clamp stuff, but I don't like yaoi enough to be the one to do that.
I don't think a lot of their stuff is yaoi.
But I'm saying, like, even when it isn't, it has that like stench about it, you know?
Yeah.
like Tokyo Babylon, like it's like
an XXX holic.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, like the main girl in that is like she looks like any given like yaoi twink, and then like her like decade older than her boyfriend is like as broad as any yaoi boy would be. But yeah, just like I think for somebody to make a really compelling Clamp retrospective, they would need to really be able to get down with that stuff and have a more complex opinion on it than I'm able to, because I just have like a mental blockage when it comes to literally like 99% of male pairings.
I feel like...
And I even say this as someone for whom like Clamp is one of the rare exceptions where like Yukito and Toyo's relationship in Card Capture Sakura is like one of my favorite parts of that series.
Yeah. I love how much Yukito feels like he's already Sakura's brother-in-law. She just doesn't realize it yet. The like exact way she crushes on him as like a cool older boy in her life, and the exact way he like doesn't treat her with kid gloves exactly, but very much so treats her like a sweet younger sister-in-law is a very sweet facet of their relationship. I mean, so Coffee is watching Angelic Lair, which has had me so stoked because that was one of my favorite series as a kid. It was my first Clamp thing that I engaged with. And it's funny to me that it's so, like, slept on. Like, I don't think I ever hear anyone talk about Angelic Lair when they talk about Clamp. It's kind of making me want to revisit it, so I might make you watch it with me someday.
I'd love to.
It's pretty short. It's only, like, 2 seasons, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a quick watch. I think Coffee's already, like, a good chunk of the way through it.
Nice.
But yeah, we're watching Cardcaptor again. We're finally back on it after being off of it for, like, way too long. I've watched it all before. It's Hazel's first time.
Yeah, we're like 50-some-odd episodes in.
I would say that a good chunk of Holic is honestly like worth
that is to say, we've been like 50 episodes in for like a very long time.
Yeah. And we're starting it back up again now. Yeah. Holic is just fun in terms of like, I mean, like I was young when I watched it, so probably a lot of it would seem basic to me now, but it's like a kind of good compendium of baby's first exposure to yokai, because it's a lot of like yokai of the week and kind of like the interesting problems that they present. There's also hot women in Holic, so you know, something there for the girls.
The Clamp thing, the Clamp manga that I'm most excited about actually reading is Clover.
Yeah, I'm really I need to read Clover super badly.
Yeah. We literally own it.
I know. I have such a backlog of things I need to read.
Yeah.
What's the other Clamp thing I've engaged with? I've never managed to get into Tsubasa.
Right.
It just kind of feels like too much.
The other Clamp thing we love is Miyuki-chan in Wonderland.
Yeah, Miyuki-chan in Wonderland is Coco Melon for lesbians.
It's so good. It's crazy. But yeah, I just I don't think that I have enough of like a long-standing love for like long-running shoujo and that kind of thing to really be the one to do it justice.
I like Chobits even though it sucks ass.
Yeah. I think I almost feel like a clamp retrospective is such a big topic. Like I can't imagine that there are any single human beings who've been put on this earth who like everything they've done. Like I almost feel like you need like a clamp style team of people to come together to do that retrospective.
We need
now we're cooking.
We need autists for each clamp work.
Right.
The greatest minds, we've collected them into a superhero team.
As far as anime chefs I would want to eat the food of, I don't know. Hook me up with one of those fucking fighting food on fuckers. I'll fucking break edge to eat something that's actively alive.
Scary.
Fucking fried rice with a face.
I don't think they eat them.
I'll be the first to do it then. Next question.
Yeah, is that vegan? Like if you eat
the dishes,
fried rice.
Right.
Let's say it doesn't kill him.
So for the fried rice, like, does life start at the conception of the dish, or we need to move on? My fries are gonna be cold.
Ali Motamed says, thoughts on the Layton games, if either of you have played them? Do you have any interest in the newest one? I'm absolutely going to play the newest one. I feel like I'm still missing a couple of random games in my Layton lexicon, but I love Layton.
I played through the first one. It's really good. The ending is like a fucking like Yoko Taro, like existential nightmare.
The movie is a fucking
fucking fever dream. It's insane. And then I played through almost all of the second game, and then I fell off it like I do so many things. Layton was like my before bed game for a long time. It would regularly put me to sleep and I'd be drifting off, and then I'd just have to close my DS and put it next to me.
I need to get back on it, TBH.
That was back when my mattress was on the floor, so slide it off. And...
Yeah, my mental image of your DS being on the floor next to your mattress.
Yeah.
Is very clear.
Good times.
Yeah, I played all of the first 3 mainline games. I played a little bit of the weird fucking mobile spin-off game with his fail son.
Yeah.
I still don't... I think, like, maybe I hit a wall, like a paywall, where I couldn't play more without, like, paying for it or something, and maybe I stopped playing. I'm not really sure what happened there. I never played the Phoenix Wright crossover.
Right.
Because at that point, like...
There's so many games in each of those goddamn series.
Yeah.
I can't keep up.
I played all of...
It's like Yakuza.
Yeah, I played all of the, Is it called Ace Attorney, and then... What's the one with Apollo?
Apollo Justice?
Yeah, I didn't play any of the Apollo. I tried to, and I couldn't because there was no Maya. So,
exactly.
Like, it hurt me too much.
Yeah.
So because I hadn't played...
That was a joke. I know plenty of people like that one.
No, everyone
don't
loves
at me.
those.
I don't.
Everyone loves them. I only care about Maya Fey. If she's not there, I don't want to see that shit. Anyway, I hadn't played any of Apollo Justice onwards, so then I was like, I feel like I can't play the Layton and Phoenix Wright crossover, even though I really want to. And then because I didn't play all the weird, like, Layton's Children spin-off games, I was like, fuck. Oh, wait, which is the one that has,
I don't think you played any of the 3DS ones.
Yeah, I didn't play any of... I had the one that had the Fantasy Life mini game in it.
Oh, London Life.
Or the London Life. Yeah, I booted that up and played a bit of that, and I was like, this shit rocks. And then I didn't play the main game.
Yeah.
So I still need to play that. So yeah, it like fucking sucks because I really love Layton. Like, I would say I like Layton more than Phoenix Wright even.
Interesting. I think
just like the freak brain European like indie animation style to it is very charming to me now.
Phoenix Wright was just like a huge gateway for me, so it definitely has like a forever place in my heart.
I felt very fondly of Phoenix Wright when I was into it, especially because I played it with all my homeschool group friends, but I think just like lawyers are inherently less interesting to me, and the limitations of being in a courtroom every single game are kind of less interesting to me.
You know what the real reason is that I don't feel the urge to go back to Phoenix Wright?
What's that?
It's because like every game has like 2 trials where Maya's gone.
When Maya's not around, everyone should be asking, where's Maya?
I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I won't get too lost, but I do really want to play the new Layton game because I'm excited about the boy being back. I hope Flora's there.
I like her.
I can't enjoy things if the girl isn't there, okay? I'm gay.
I want to hear a story about baseball.
I want to hear a story about baseball. Caroline says, do you have any tips for someone looking to start making music, specifically playing guitar as well?
Just do it. It's going to be really uncomfortable at first, but you kind of just got to do it until it starts to feel a little more comfortable.
Learn your basic chords.
Yeah.
Expand from there.
Yeah. Don't get too hung up on things being, like, as polished as you want them to be. So long as you can get them approximately like how you hear it in your head, you're probably going to in that process, find things that you like more than what was in your head. If you just kind of let those ideas be flexible as they're coming out onto paper.
Learn how to play songs you like, too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's kind of, because,
and try to do it by ear, rather than just using, like, a tab. I think tabs are good when you're starting out, especially because they can teach you interesting chord inversions, but it's very valuable to be able to pick stuff up by ear.
Yeah. You know, trace the footsteps of artists that you already admire.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to incorporate that, like, lexicon into your own writing sensibilities. Caleb Riley says, I was wondering what you do to warm up before you start working. Any kind of preparations or rituals before starting, or do you jump right in?
I like making breakfast.
Breakfast is
for some reason, just, like, being able to cook something that takes, like, 10 minutes. And eating is, like, I sit down and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, I think what's important for me before I can start working is knowing that I'm not going to be interrupted in, like, an hour's time or a few hours' time even. So it's nice for me to be like, all right, like, I'm up, I'm showered, I've my teeth brushed, I've made and eaten breakfast. Like, I know what I'm going to eat for lunch, so I can just pop it in the oven when it comes time.
And I crawl out of bed after Hazel's done all that, and I eat a banana, and I start working.
Yeah.
Vulcanide says, thank you for a great video as always. I remember local Denny's/family diners as the hot spots for theater kids and band kids.
Right.
I was wondering if either of you have any favorite late night foods or munchies. Doesn't have to be a dish from Denny's. Taco Bell.
Late night?
Late night?
Like, I'm thinking, like,
peanut butter.
Yeah, like, sometimes you just gotta get a spoonful. I think a toast or, like, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich kind of tends to be it for me.
Kay Vico says, I have 2 questions. My first one is, who is your favorite older woman/gilf character? Oh, man. I
really like the grandma character in
DMMD?
Dramatical Murder.
Why is that your go-to?
I don't know.
She's cool.
Yeah, I think she's
I like how
fun.
bitchy she is. I feel like way too often, like, anime grandmas get, like, stereotyped as, like, either, like, stern and quiet or, like, sweet and motherly.
Right.
They always miss that middle ground archetype of grandma who's kind of an asshole but in a loving way.
Right.
Which is much more true to my lived experience.
As far as other
older women
or gilf characters, I don't know, but too many are really coming to my mind because so seldom do they get to be.
I mean, I know
so seldom does an anime woman get to be that old.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, oh, I know you like Misato, but she's, like, just a regular
No, she's
adult.
in her 20s.
Yeah, she's just, like, a young adult.
Yeah.
She just seems older by comparison to all the other much younger characters.
Yeah, I don't know that too many really jump out at me as being like, let's go, woo. It's not.
There's not a lot of cool old women and stuff.
Yeah. You gotta be the change.
I know.
I'm saying you as in the general sense.
General
we need to be the change. We as a society.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now.
Yeah.
I did feel like I don't know why this one came to my mind. I fucking loved the older woman rapper in the new Pokemon.
Yeah.
I think her name is just Rhyme. Yeah.
I love her.
The fact that just like everything about her design is perfect.
Yeah.
She's great. That was, like, the first time in a while I've seen, like, an older woman character where I felt like any kind of care was put into designing her, and not just kind of, like, making an archetypical older woman, you know? Like, I especially loved the design on her hair. I think that's, like, so cute. That's so perfect, and that's so Pokemon, because in my mind, the best Pokemon, like, human characters are, like, they have very clear and simple, like, iconography to their design. And she just, like, nailed that on all fronts. Yeah. That's probably not my favorite, but she's the first one I could think of. My second question is inspired by your Pokemon video. It dredged up a childhood memory during the Pokemon craze in the early 2000s. The first time I ever stole something. I stole a Pokemon card from a dealer in one of those mall kiosks. An unremarkable common Weedle card. In retrospect, that's a stupid thing to risk getting caught stealing over, but I think my child brain really was caught up in the frenzy of collecting and consumerism at the time.
Listen, if Pokemon is teaching kids how to pickpocket, you know, how bad is that, really?
So my second question is, did you ever steal anything as a kid? If so, what's a notable thing you stole, or maybe one you regret the most?
I think I was like 5 or 6, and I was at some, like, small like clothing store with my mom, and there were a bunch of these, like, little bracelets at the counter, and I think in my head it was like the same as, like, getting, like, an after dinner mint. Like, I thought they were complimentary, so I took them and I, like, absentmindedly stuffed them into my mom's back pocket, thinking, like, well, you're gonna need these for later. And she got home and noticed what was in her pocket, and I got in trouble.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too much of a narc to ever try stealing, like, even small petty things as a kid.
Yeah.
One time I got taken to one of those candy stores where you pay based on, like, the poundage of what you pick and put in a bag. And I think I didn't fully understand that concept, so I, like, started eating the candy out of the bag as I was picking my candies, and I got scolded for that, because they were like, that's basically stealing, and I was like, oh my god,
they're gonna kill me.
As I got older and a little broker and more remorseless, I started doing petty shoplifting a little bit more, but it was always either stuff that was really small alongside other bigger things I was buying, or from a business that I had zero respect for and felt no remorse about.
Yeah, like I know that like, shoplifting discourse is very fraught from a lot of different angles, and I understand all of the different ways in which it's complicated. However, it is literally always based to steal from Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, all my worst crimes were at Hobby Lobby after, like, the employees had, like, glared furiously at me and my gay wife.
Yeah.
While Christian music played loudly on the overhead, and I was like, you know what? Fuck you. These markers are mine now. I don't shoplift anymore. I'm not in a position where I feel the need to do that. I've not had a reason to in the past, shoplifting is for the people who are desperate, okay? I'm not going to take that from them. And I was that person for a while. Yeah. It was only ever businesses. I was like, fuck you. So...
When I worked at Target, I stole from that Target every now and again because I knew how their security worked. I stole a lot of, like, obligatory Christmas gifts for relatives I didn't like.
That's genius.
It's like, I'm just gonna put this...
That Target treated you like shit anyway.
Of course it did. It was a fucking Target.
Reparations.
Of course.
It was reparations.
Of course.
Self-reparations.
Of course.
I'm glad that this question's at the end so that only the reals are still listening. Newcomers don't listen and are like, wow, Alyssa's a fucking criminal. Beatman says, have you played a lot of Japanese flash games? Crimson Room got me to Room Escape, and Tanaka used flash games for top shelf flash games, especially Material Sniper and Seven Sky, which had banging soundtracks. I've actually not. I don't think.
I bet that's a very interesting well to go down.
Yeah, I wonder if there's, like, a good archive.
Yeah.
Since flashes kill. Yeah, let us know in the comments if there's a good archive of Japanese flash games.
Yeah, that would be a fun stream.
Yeah. Well, it might be kind of dicey. Maybe not. Christopher Roger Simons. I'm more so thinking in terms of, like, copyrighted music, because I feel like so many
it's just
flash
a stream.
games.
It's whatever.
Yeah. Christopher Roger Simon says, "Hi there, H plus A. As someone who's a big fan of AMVs since the days of AMV hell, would you ever consider making a playlist of your favorite AMVs? I wish I could. They're all gone. I'm always looking for good videos or editors. A good video paired with music. That's my favorite way to find new songs. I miss it so much. I will say, like, I actually I get slightly embarrassed watching them, but I do actually really enjoy the, like, really over edited, like, fan edits that, like, kids post on TikTok.
Yeah, they just, like, reinvented Mads.
Yeah. I think that the short form nature of them is very cute. Yeah. I think how much more elaborate the edits are is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things in internet fandom spaces where I'm like, oh, this craft has improved over time. And not just like being like, it was better when I was a kid. It's like, it really wasn't. But yeah, it is sad. I can think of like a handful of old AMVs that I like watched over and over as a kid, that are just like definitely poofed from the internet forever.
Yeah, I used to only want to listen to songs via AMVs because I thought it was really cringe to like music. Like, I was so embarrassed of liking music. I was embarrassed
too. I was like really secretive about the music I listened to. Off the top of my head, I got into 1,000 Miles via an Oron Host Club AMV. I got into I don't know. I just got into like a lot of. I was just like, my brain was like going down the list of embarrassing music I listened to in AMVs, and I was like, actually, I'm not gonna list.
I had a really good time looking through old Elfin Late AMVs and finding the one for All the Things She Said.
Yes.
Yeah, fucking girl power.
I made a couple of Tokyo Mew Mew Evanescence AMVs
That's
myself.
So good.
I probably have them on a USB somewhere.
So I remember that someone had DM'd me on Patreon a question recently that I wanted to answer.
What's the name on that? So I can read their name?
I'm gonna keep it anonymous. Yeah, just because they DM'd me, and I asked if I could answer it on the next Q&A, and I wanted to make sure that I did that, but because they didn't ask it outright, I was like, I don't want to put them on blast.
Yeah. They said, I was wondering how you personally assemble your information so cohesively. Not in I'm trying to gank your style of script writing kind of way. I just want to ask if your process follows a general stream of research, taking notes, and then working them into a list of bullet points to hit. I have a video I'm passionate about, but I've never done this sort of thing before, so I wanted to check with someone who knows her stuff more than I. Thanks for reading.
I don't mind. I think that I think that
Baby cat.
Obviously, this isn't always the case, but I think a lot of concern about, like, ganking someone else's style is, like, you don't really have to worry about it that much. It's always going to come out a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Just because naturally your different set of experiences and the way that you think about things is going to make it come out differently. Mm-hmm. I think it would be silly for me to be, like, pearl clutching about what I consider my personal style because I don't even know what it is. But that being said, it's really difficult to articulate because, like I said earlier, I tend to be really case by case with how I do research. Mm-hmm. But if you have something like a topic that you're already really interested in, I imagine that that's probably something that is going to be more dedicated to filling out context in your research than it is necessarily like, how do I talk about something in a particular way, which is much more nebulous. So in terms of, like, advice for, like, how to research things, like, you kind of just gotta, like, I mean, it's also difficult because I don't know what the subject is, so it kind of makes things hard. There are a lot of untapped places where information lies, that you can just kind of stumble across sometimes in places you don't necessarily think are going to be fruitful. like interviews with the creators about other projects. Sometimes they bring up the thing that you're looking to hear about, either in contrast or what have you. Certain you'll find certain leads, like sometimes even just like in like older like reviews of these things, when certain pieces of information that have kind of been washed away by the sands of time have been a little bit more or like at a time when they were a little more relevant. You can kind of start to build out an understanding of that stuff. I think one of my bigger pieces of advice would be, when you find somebody who seems knowledgeable on the subject, like don't feel hesitant about asking them, reaching out to them and saying, hey, do you have any particular resources for this thing? Most people who are into researching these things do it because they like sharing the things they're interested in. And I think that it is very, very silly to be overly precious about your resources, because functionally it's like, it's all out there, I think the idea of like, oh, you should do your own research to find it is like, well, if someone else already has, like, someone else can start to iterate on that rather than just having to kind of rebuild something that's already been done. So that's my stance on it. Hopefully some amount of that helped. I always feel like whenever I get this question, it comes out a little scattershot.
Maybe if people keep asking you how you make your videos, all of your answers combined.
Well, that's what I think. Yeah. We'll finally be a good answer.
For the perfect answer.
Exactly. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening and for asking stuff. I always really appreciate the questions.
As always, you guys ask great questions.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, as I fill these out, I always find myself getting excited to answer them.
Wanderers forced himself onto my lap. He was like, no more Q&A. It is baby time now.
I'm going to make myself that sandwich finally. I've been fantasizing about that thing since we hit record 3 hours ago.
Waiting, and I want to have...
Wow, it all comes back together. We talked about Matthew Sweet earlier.
We did.
You're playing us out with him right now. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.